Success Summit. I'm so happy and excited to have each and every one of you here. If you're on the live right now, type in hashtag live. Let me shout y'all out who are here, y'all. We are back again with these summits. Y'all know I used to do these type of summits all the time, multiple times a month, and we're getting back onto doing it again. So come on in the room. I want everybody to say hello. Shout out where you're coming from. I am coming from New York City, baby. So let me know, ladies, where you are tuning in from. Okay, I have my lovely show producer who's going to be going through and popping up the chats and making sure you guys comments are coming on the screen or what have you. Make sure y'all bring some appropriate comments because we will block you. Okay, our block game is on point. So anywho, guys, for the past, I would say, 4 months now, we've been planning to present you guys with an awesome event that you're going to be enjoying all year. Yes, it's called the Unbreakable Success Summit. Now, what is Unbreakable? It goes back into many of our stories, whether we are building businesses or just building great habits in our lives. But this summit is really meant to help you guys to learn more about dominating, being on top of your health, wealth, and relationship. I got some financial experts on here, honey. I got some branding people on here, honey. I got some life coaches on here. I have some network marketers on here. We have it all in one space. But if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Letitia Campbell. I'm actually your #1 email marketing strategist, CEO and founder of the Camel Success Network, and the creator of my Emailpreneur Tribe at emailpreneurtribe.com, which is where I teach, train, coach, and mentor my clients on how to secure the bag through email marketing. Hey, LaShawn, yes, Dr. Carl's in the audience, Dr. Severin, got a lot of doctors who are clients, honey. LaShawn, Beverly, what's tea? Thank you for hopping on. Yes, you guys are rolling on in, honey. You guys are rolling on in. So without further ado, I want to bring everyone on the screen, okay, individually, so that you guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves. Listen, y'all, we have 9 awesome ladies who are going to be joining us tonight and really talking about how you can elevate what you're currently doing right now, whether it's finances, whether it's life, whether it's relationships. I'm just not talking about relationships with your spouse or your partner. I'm talking about relationships with yourself as well. Hey, Tawanta, how are you? So I think that's very, very much so important. So again, so the first person we're going to bring up is my girl, Ms. Dr. Severin, girl. Go ahead, sis. Introduce yourself, love.
Hi, everyone. I am Severin Bryan. I'm a personal finance educator and coach and founder of Bryan Financial Empowerment LLC, and I do business as Sev Talks Money. I help busy women understand and manage their basic personal finances so they can gain peace of mind and financial freedom.
That part. Thank you so much, Severin. So the next lovely lady I'm about to bring up is my girl, Tracy, love. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hi, and good evening to everyone. My name is Tracy Wilkins Francis, and I am a children's author of a set of diverse books that makes lessons and life habits easy and memorable. And I am also the founder and owner of Annie Jean Publishing, where I help you tell your story.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining, Tracy. Now let's hop on over to my sister friend, LaDavia. Go ahead, love.
Hey, blessings, everybody. I am LaDavia Savoy, and I'm a naturopathic Reiki master therapist and mental health professional. And I help busy professionals heal naturally in safe spaces.
I love that. Thank you for joining us, LaDavia. Dr. Carla, sis, let everybody know who you are and what you do, sis.
Hey. This is Dr. Carla Maria. I am your Power Move Strategist. I am a best-selling author, a Christian strategy coach, entrepreneur, corporate trainer, and renowned keynote speaker. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here as well, sis. Okay, okay, come on, Jen, come through, sis.
Hello, good evening. Coming from Los Angeles. I'm a certified money coach, a speaker, best-selling author of 6 books, and as a money mindset coach for creatives and online entrepreneurs, I help them develop a better relationship with their money and themselves so they can make more money.
Period. All right, come through, Pele.
Oh, Lord. Okay, well, I just want to say talofa, which is hello in my Samoan language. I am from the beautiful island of Samoa, and I am the author of Heart of a Warrior, The Humble Journey of a Samoan Warrior. And I am a vessel of love and positivity, and I love to inspire and empower women to know that they are enough and that they are more than a conqueror. And so I also co-authored 10 other books, and I am blessed. I'm humbled and honored to be amongst all these beautiful greatness. And I'm thankful for you for having this platform for all of us. And I'm grateful to God and all that He has done for each one of us. Thank you.
And I'm happy that you are here, sis. So excited. And last but never least, my girl Erica. Oh, I think she froze, y'all. So we're going to take her off screen real quick. So, what we're going to be doing throughout this summit, y'all, is I came up with a collaborative of questions to ask the ladies. And we're going to go across the entire panel for each one of them to answer. As you guys are watching, if you have any comments or questions for these ladies on panel, I told y'all I wasn't playing with y'all today, honey. I got some powerhouse women on here. So definitely, if you have any questions that you want to directly ask them or just anything in general, maybe you have a comment that you're going to piggyback off of what they said, definitely share that in the comment right now. Before we get started, I want to say this. Please share and tag this broadcast out. Okay. Get a sister friend in here, get someone in here you feel that you would want to hear this information for. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the questions. My question first starts with you, Dr. Severin. What are some of the common mistakes you're seeing in your that your audience is making right now? Because I know that you're like in the financial sector. You're probably seeing thousands and thousands of people make errors and mistakes when it comes to their financial futures. But if you could explain a couple of them, please share with everyone here. What are some mistakes that you're probably seeing that they're making that they're not realizing is a mistake? Go ahead, sis.
Yes, definitely. I've seen about all of it. One of the things that I've seen is that people pay their debt in the wrong order. For example, they may pay their credit cards before they think about paying their housing or any of the other really essential debt. They're paying their credit cards because they're being hounded by creditors. But that should not be the first thing you want to pay. You want to pay your housing, transportation, food, clothing, those sort of things that are essential. The creditors, what are they going to do? They can't take the meal you had. So you just want to make sure you're focusing on the right type of debt to pay them in order. Another thing that I've seen is that people are not taking advantage of free money. You have your company plan and they match 50%, maybe $1 for every dollar you put in. And there are people who are not taking advantage of that. That's free money. So you want to make sure you take advantage of it. The last thing is their approach to savings. They're saying, I don't have enough money. I don't make enough money. Well, if you start with $1, it matters. It adds up. There's something called compound interest, and that money adds up. So, save the money, pay the right debt in order, and take advantage of the free money from your company.
I love that because that compound effect is real. It's like through time, you're going to see that huge difference. Thank you so much, Dr. Severin, for sharing that. If those of you who are watching in the audience, if y'all have some questions on what she just stated, definitely feel free to ask because we're open here. Okay, Tracy, same question for you, love. What are some of the common mistakes you're seeing right now that you're seeing your audience making?
Well, as a children's author and an author, there are so many people out there now that want to write and publish their book. So one of the mistakes is not investing in the book. The person is so excited to say, I'm a published author and trying to get out there in the quickest way that they cut corners. So they might cut corners and not have it edited. Or if they do have it edited, they might not have the proper editor because there's an order to which you have it edit. And usually people think editor, they think proofreader, grammar and grammatical and spelling, but there's so much more to it. There's developmental. Does the story make sense? There's copy in terms of line by line and overall chapter. Is everything flowing? Could you have said something differently? Do you actually need to say this at all? Does this make sense? Did you do your fact checking? So that's one of the things. And the other thing, which is equally and probably even more so important, is not having a plan. Not having a plan for your book, because your book cannot possibly be for everybody. And I think a lot of people do that. And I see it especially with children's author. Oh, my book is for everybody. Well, it can't be for everybody. A middle grade book is not going to be for someone who is in second grade or even kindergarten. A picture book is not necessarily going to be for an older child. So you really have to think about who your target audience is and what problem are you solving by writing that book.
So I was on mute. I love that you mentioned that. Like literally you have to map the book to the audience. Y'all can hear me, right? Okay, great. Awesome. Same question, Jen. Go ahead, love.
Yeah, the things that I see from the audience that I work with is when they have financial issues, money issues, and different problems. Sometimes the first thing they want to do, and I was a financial advisor before, so the first thing they think is that's what they need to do, and I like to call those things the logistics. Where it's okay, look at my portfolio, let's look at the debt. And I'm not saying those things are important, but one of the things I think that the mistakes are is that we're not taking a step back and looking at the subconscious patterns, the money mindset stuff, the scarcity mindset. Where did your money stories come from? What did you learn from your mother, your father, whoever raised you, the auntie, uncle, the pastor at church? Where did you hear all these money stories that are affecting how you look at money, the relationship you have with money, which is causing you to make the types of financial mistakes and decisions that you're doing today? And so many times we're just trying to only come from the perspective of the logistics. You need both. And so we don't really think about those things. And so I can give somebody a million spreadsheets and you're going to keep saying, I don't know why I can't save, or I don't know why I can't make this work. It's because we're not looking at those money blocks, those money stories, and those subconscious patterns that haven't been paid attention to.
I love that. That's so true. So true. How about you, Dr. Carla? What are some mistakes you're seeing in your industry?
I'm going to speak from the Christian strategy standpoint. I see things like self-doubt, procrastination, and I like to tell people all the time, procrastination is not sexy. It's not. And I also see an issue with work-life balance, and also just having those healthy boundaries, knowing when to say no, and then also just believing those lies that they hear in their mind, and that for sometimes moving forward. And so those are just some of the common things I see in the strategy coaching business.
100% agree. Love that. LaDavia, love.
Yeah, so what I see most common is that many women just do not place mental health implementation as far as coping strategies as a priority.
Right.
And so they put it on the back burner a lot of times and say, I will get to it when I can get to it. And they're just not really consistent with being able to incorporate that self-care. And so I just feel that it's so vital that we have that as a part of our daily schedule, our daily routine, and not just put it on the back burner for whenever we need it at that particular time. We're going through something and we're starting to feel as though we need some self-care. No, if we had that self-care implementation throughout, then we can really cope with these things and we can see the end before the beginning.
Very true, y'all. I see the nods and the yeses and all that. Yes. How about you, Pele? What are some common mistakes you're seeing?
So for me, the mistakes that I see, because my journey is a journey of losses and a survival of a divorce, is the power of forgiveness. How they are struggling with forgiving, and so it's forgiveness and having that, because I'm the queen of gratitude, and because gratitude transformed my life, and I see that they are not being grateful, for the challenges and all that they have been through, that molded them to who they are, and just being grateful for the people, who are pouring into them, because I'm grateful to all of you and everyone who's, a part of my journey. So those are my common mistakes that I see in the people, that I deal with, is forgiveness and being grateful.
I love that. Being grateful is important. Sometimes we can't see the gratitude when we're going through the storm, right? We feel like we're all guilty of that sometimes, and we got to get better at that. Thank you for reminding us, Pele. Thank you, love. How about you, my lovely, lovely Erica? Is she frozen? Can you hear us? I think she froze at her smile.
Hello?
Yes. Hi.
Can me? I
Is
can
she breaking up for y'all? I can't hear her.
everything was
Yeah.
everything was
We
working.
can't hear we can't hear you,
Till it
love.
was
Let's jump to Leslie. Leslie, same question, love.
so
Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Oh, good. Yay. One of the common mistakes in as a real estate agent is I think people come into the process of either home buying or selling thinking that they have to know everything. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something I like to make people comfortable and aware of, that you don't have to know everything. There are
Nope.
people out there that you should be working with who have studied and learned on this information, have certifications and different things in their basket that they should be bringing to the table to make sure you're
Yep.
comfortable and have all the
Yep.
information that you need. So you have to come to the table knowing what's going on in my market right now, or what are the interest rates and what does that mean. That's who have that team that you should be working with to get to the point where you're comfortable to move through the home ownership or home selling process. So yes, that's one of the biggest things I see.
That is so true. So, so true. So, Charlissa, how are you, sis? Yes. So our
Hi, how are
question is,
you? Good to
hey,
see you.
hey. Our question is, what are some common mistakes you're seeing your audience make?
Yes, I am Charlisa Harriet. Thank you for welcoming me, first of all, to your platform. I am so grateful to be here
Yeah.
this evening with all you lovely, wonderful women out there just making a positive difference in the world. I am Charlisa Harriet, affectionately known as Coach C, the Crushing Chemo Chick, and I am a cancer survivorship coach, and I actually work with women survivors of cancer, newly diagnosed, or recently have been found themselves to be back in the battle. So to help them to get to a point from just feeling bleak, as their future is bleak, like they don't have, like there's a death sentence, to where they can celebrate life. Okay,
Mm,
that's just a just. So to address your question, some common mistakes that I see. Found within the population that I work with. One particular thing is that once they hear, okay, of the diagnosis, they just make the automatic assumption that life is over,
right,
that it's a
right.
death sentence. And
Mm,
that's the number one common mistake that I noticed that the clientele make. And I am here to help them and navigate them through the process that is not, okay? Just because
yes,
it's a diagnosis, that's exactly what it is. That's what you hear, that the medical personnel is telling you, but that's not
right.
necessarily means that that's what you have to receive, okay?
That's right.
And so I think it's all a matter of, when we're getting to the point of survivorship, it's a matter of perspective, how you
Right,
look at
right,
things, okay? And so that may be what medical personnel has stated to you, but that doesn't mean that that's something that you have to pick up and receive, okay?
amen. Oh,
Yes,
you
yes.
took, bam. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Erica real quick. I hope her connection is good now. Erica, can you hear us again? Ooh, that was busy. Let's You ain't gonna win today. Okay. All right, we're gonna wait for Erica to come right back on. So let's go into the next question. And those of you who are watching, what I'm doing today is we're asking is the Unbreakable Success Summit. I'm asking these amazing ladies their perspectives on how you guys can really dominate your health, wealth, and relationships. And we got to talk about the mistakes. We got to talk about things to avoid so that way you can get better at this. So now we're gonna go back to Leslie. So Leslie, please share what are some things your audience should avoid?
Um, I think that one of the things that my audience should avoid is assuming that just because you met with a real estate agent and you talked to them, or you met with a lender or even an attorney, that that's your lender or your attorney. That might not be the right fit for you. always believe in do an interview process. Interview them like they're coming for a job because they are ultimately.
Right.
Um, you want to make sure that you're seeing what's out there, seeing who's out there, who's better, who's a better fit for you. You may be a new home buyer, but I may be a real estate agent that deals primarily with maybe military relocation and have never dealt with a new home buyer. That does not
Mm-hmm.
mean I am your fit. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
interview different agents and work, find the right person that work with you. So with that, you can fire them. I don't know that, but you can fire your real estate agent, especially in the beginning. If they're not doing what you need them to do, and you know they're not getting you where you need to be, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to walk away. Just as your real estate agent can technically fire you, you may not be a good fit. Another thing that because real estate is not just about lending, finding the right financial solution to your purchase and different things of that nature. I
Mm-hmm.
like to tell people as well that when you're dealing with a lender, especially with your lender, don't assume that you are dealing with a bank and you had your checking account with your bank for the last 25 years, that
Mm-hmm.
that's your real estate lender. That may not be accurate. They may not have the best program for you. There may be a better
Mm.
lender out there for you. Those are just a couple of things to think about and a few mistakes that you can avoid when you're starting that home purchase or home buying scenario.
I see. That was definitely some good points there. How about you, Dr. Carla? I mean, Dr. Severin, sorry. I'm looking at Dr. Severin saying Dr. Carla. Go ahead, Dr. Severin.
Yeah, one of the things you need to avoid, I think, is thinking you have to be perfect when you
Mm,
manage your money.
yes.
Warren Buffett did not get into his investing stride until he was in his 50s. He
Yes.
actually started investing when he was 10 years old, but he did not get into the investing stride until he was 50 years old. You don't have to be, he's made a lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Another thing to avoid is co-signing. When you co-sign, you are saying that if the other person doesn't pay, that you are responsible and you will take on the responsibility to pay. These are basics, but a lot of people don't know them. Another
Right.
thing is avoid living on borrowed money. If you do not have the money, do not put it on your credit card because things
Mm.
happen and you may think, I'm going to get paid on Friday. But what if your company bankrupts
Oh,
before
yes.
Friday? Then you're stuck with paying that money. So if you don't have the money in your bank, I would advise not to charge it on your credit card. Things happen and we understand that. Another thing is please avoid not having a will. Jimi Hendrix, his estate took 30 years to settle because he did not have a will. And so lawyers got all the money. So it's simple to create a will. So please do that. So those are some of the things to avoid. Do not co-sign. You don't have to have a perfect history when it comes to your money. Don't live on borrowed money if you can, and avoid not having a will. And then I'll just throw this in: avoid not having an emergency fund. 50 to 60% of people in this country cannot get their hands on $1,000 if they had an emergency, and that
Wow.
perpetuates the credit card cycle. Because you don't have the
Yes.
emergency, it happens, then you have to use your credit card. And so the
Right.
cycle continues. And then you have to go to payday loans, which are the worst thing you could ever do.
Oh,
So
Lord.
do what
Yes, it's the
you
worst.
can to set aside, develop that savings muscle, and set aside $1. Just start with $1. I'm challenging you. Then go to two, and then go to five. And then as you develop that muscle, you can start saving even more money. So never
Wow.
think you have to start with $100 or 200 or whatever. Start small and develop that savings muscle.
That's very true. Y'all share in the audience if that was gold for you, because I know we've heard this before, but sometimes rehearing it over and over again is important because y'all seen what happened, 2020, everybody's financial situation got shook, even the richest of the rich. So definitely let us know, ladies, if in those of y'all in the comments, if that really hit home to you. And heading over to you, Tracy's, what are some of the things your audience should avoid when it comes to what you're doing?
Okay, so the biggest thing, and it might sound a little harsh, especially when someone is self-publishing a book, particularly a children's book, is to avoid being cheap. And I've seen a lot of children's authors who, again, who are so amped and excited to get that book out there that they cut corners. They don't spend enough money looking for the best illustrator for their project. So instead, they might use, those people that make those cartoon logos that look kind of a little creepy, and there's no shade to them, but that's not the kind of illustrator you want to use for your book. So you have to invest. You have to think that this is my baby, this is my project, this has my name on it, and it's going to be out there for in perpetuity. So you want to put the best foot forward when it comes to that. And unfortunately, illustrations cost money. To get a good illustrator, it's going to cost money. But like I said, your name is on it. You want when people to pick up your book, it's like, wow, this book is amazing. And the illustrations are gorgeous, because children, what's the first thing they do when they look at a book? They look at the pictures. Even the parents are going to look at the pictures, but children, they look at the pictures like, oh my goodness. So you definitely want to avoid being cheap. Create a budget, but also remember that this is going to probably cost you more than you think, especially if things happen.
I totally agree. You got to have a budget. Got to have a budget, right? Can't cut corners either. Thank you so much, Tracy. How about you, LaDavia? Same question, love.
So, what I find just in reference to understanding and knowing yourself as it relates to your mental health is that you should avoid the double D's. And it's not D's, ladies. It's not those double D's, okay? And when I say double D's, I mean denial and dismissal. We don't want
Ooh,
to deny the fact that something is going on. Too many times we do that. We deny the fact
wow.
that we're having headaches constantly. We don't know the reason why. We deny the fact that there's a negative people around us in our lives. We deny the fact that our job is basically killing us slowly.
Mm-hmm.
We deny the fact that we need to go ahead and exercise more, and we can go on and on. And
Yeah.
then we dismiss the fact that once we've identified these things, that we need help, HELP, that we need the help. And so if we can take those two double D's, right, and put them in a place in which we really adhere to the fact that we need to tackle these things. We need to put them in the forefront, put them in its proper place, and be able to bring about some processes to create some coping strategies for healing. Then my audience would be so much more in a better
Oh
place.
my goodness.
So much
Yes,
more. But let's
yes.
just start with those double D's, please.
I love it. What do you call it? Dismissal and denial,
And
the double D?
denial. Yes.
Yes, y'all need to put that in the chat. We got to stop doing that as women. I totally agree. Totally, totally agree. How about you, Dr. Carla? Same question, love.
Some things that my audience should avoid is let's first of all start with who you have in your inner circle,
Mm-hmm.
because who you hang with has a lot to do with your mindset and how you go about doing life.
Right.
And so I find that so many people hang around people that don't elevate them. And I'm not saying that that's all you hang around with, but I'm saying if that's the majority of who you hang around with, you begin to take on that characteristic. So if you're
Yes.
trying to go to your next level and you're trying to be better physically, mentally, spiritually, then you need to surround yourself with people that edify you. And I always tell people, have someone that you're pouring into and have someone that's pouring into you. Because if you're always pouring out, you're going to find yourself on empty and you're not going to be any good to anybody else. And then also be careful who you share your dreams with. Everybody is not anointed to hear your dreams. You know, you tell your dreams to some people, they go, well, that doesn't seem possible. Well, you know, you don't know what's possible. There's a lot of things that's going on now that you see in the world that people thought would never happen. I think we had this in the chat the other day talking about the Jetsons on cartoon show, and now
yes, we did.
yeah,
We did.
so it's like, so your dreams are your dreams. If God has given you a vision, then you go ahead and you go ahead and get the steps in place and do the things and do the research, and you go ahead and move forward on that. And then also I would say, don't take on too much. So many times we, especially as women, we put ourselves on the back burner.
Mhm.
And we take on too much. So don't take on more than what you should be taking on. And learn that no is a complete sentence. And you can avoid burnout if you just know when to say no. And people go, well, I can't say no. Why not?
Yes.
Because when you're burnt out and you have no more energy, you have no more anything, then who do you go to? And who's going to be there for you? So in order to get to your next, you have to be mindful of your now. Because a lot of people, I'm going to get to my next. Well, you can't get to your next if you're not mindful of your now. Mm-hmm. Your health needs to be addressed now. Your mindset and you renewing your mind needs to be addressed now. Everything needs to happen now before you can even get to next, because you have to build a solid foundation, because otherwise you have a foundation that's on sand, and when the storm comes, you're going to sink. But if you build on a solid foundation, you renew your mind, you have your health in place, then you can go ahead and get to your next and accomplish those things that you want to accomplish.
I love that. What we said this morning, I was on a meeting this morning. It was like, we got to learn how to say no with a smile. Say no with a smile, right? Okay, Jen, same question, love.
I love that Pele mentioned this word, so I'm going to use it as well. And the things that my audience should avoid is having financial unforgiveness. And what do I mean by that? So a lot of times when you think of money, some of us might not think of it that there's an energy behind it. And we don't even think about like, okay, what is my feelings towards it? What are the emotions around it when I'm thinking about my financial situation? When I think about my money, is it a negative feeling? Is it a positive feeling? And many times we have unforgiveness, right? So we think about that person who we let, that ex we let borrow $5,000 and they never paid us back, and we're hounding them for them like a bookie, or that friend that said they were going to pay you back, or whatever the case may be, right? And so we're feeling this cringiness of like, gosh, I hate that I let somebody borrow that money. Or a lot of times it's ourselves. We're so hanging on to being angry at ourselves for allowing these mistakes to happen. And then we don't think about how that has a ripple effect on our energy and how we're looking at money. And if we're going to take this, scriptural, like, what you reap, you sow. So if you're going to harbor on this anger and you're going to have this unforgiveness within you, it is creating this block for money to flow into your life. And we don't think about that. So, my tip is, if you are harboring on anger, write a letter. And I had to do this a couple of times within the last 6 months, and just write a letter, and you don't have to send it, but it's this release of understanding that I'm going to let this go. I'm not defined by the financial mistakes that I have made, because it is creating a block for blessings and opportunities and money to come into my life, because I'm so stuck in being angry at whatever and whoever, including myself or ourselves. And so it's so important to release that and then bless it and forgive it and let it go so that you can move on. And here's the thing. A lot of times you don't realize that the forgiveness is not necessarily for the other people who have wronged you. The forgiveness is for you. Is for you to release, is for you to be free. And a lot of times we don't want to forgive because we're thinking, well, that person hurt me. That person doesn't deserve my forgiveness. It is not for them. This is for you. Bless yourself with that gift and release it and let it go.
That's right. I love that. Girl, you just dropped some bombs on here, y'all. I love y'all. All right, Charliza, same question, love. Same question.
Okay, as for me, some of the things that I believe that my audience should avoid. Number one is fighting alone. Okay, when you're talking about after receiving or hearing a diagnosis of cancer, either for the first time or it's a reoccurrence, then you shouldn't fight alone. I that can be the devastating part. It can be like a quick spiraling out of control.
Right.
You feel as if you're in this thing by yourself, because
Right.
no one can actually manage or fight alone. And when you're
Nope.
going through treatment, rather it's chemotherapy, immunotherapy, surgery, or radiation, I'm telling you, all of those things can be so cumbersome that it drains you of your
Yes.
energy. You're gonna need some people, that to surround yourself by, who can encourage you, who can help to push you, who
Right.
can help you to keep a positive environment around you in order
Right.
for you
Right.
to fight and get to the healing. So, not fight alone, but actually develop a circle of love.
I
And that's
love
what I
that.
call it, a circle of love. It's like Team Charlisa is my circle of love.
Uh-huh.
That includes, family members. That includes, if
Yep.
you're still working, then it's going to be some coworkers when you return to work, or as myself, I was going through treatment and still working. So,
Right. Right.
I needed the coworkers there to help me through the process. It
Wow.
also includes, of course, your medical team,
Mm-hmm.
and anyone else who are family and friends who are there to support you along the way.
Right.
So, number one is not to fight alone. And then, secondly, not fighting fear.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to fight in fear. We want to fight in faith.
Yes.
The word of God says that he did not give us the spirit of fear, but of
Mm-hmm.
love, power, and a
Mm-hmm.
sound mind. And in
Mm-hmm.
order for us to have a sound mind, then we need to believe in the word of God. And that's how I come
Mm.
from a spiritual aspect, unashamed, unapologetic about it.
Here.
Because
Yes.
that's the thing that got me through, okay? And that's why I'm
Yes.
still here today. So I am unashamed about my belief. So believing in God, and believing not just only in God, but believing in the power that he has, believing in
That's
his
right.
promises. Now, they may tell me about the problems, or I can tell the doctor about the problems that I'm experiencing, but no, I'm going to focus upon the promises that he has. So my
That's right.
focus is not the problems. My focus over here are the promises. Okay. That's what
Yes.
keep me focused and keep me going. And then
Oh my gosh.
thirdly, not just number one, fighting, alone, or two, fighting in fear, but thirdly is fighting with a voice. I mean, when
Mm-hmm.
you in the fight, you out on that battlefield. You can't be silent. I don't know
Nope.
about you. Have you ever been in a fight that you just kept your mouth closed? Okay, you may talk some dirt to the next person when you up there fighting alone. You may
Mm-hmm.
be fighting verbally. You still was making your voice to be resounded. So my thing is, you fight with a voice. Your voice, what matters. So that means it matters of who your doctor of not only who your doctors are, but it also matters for the treatment that they suggest or they recommend. Now, if you need a second opinion, go for it. You have that voice and you have that entitlement, okay? So you fight with a voice. And we also need to know that we will have to fight when it comes to insurance. If you're going to see your insurance company say that we will not approve of that, then you go and fight it. If your doctor say that you needed it, and that you need this in order to, to determine what would be the next course of action, then fight for it. They haven't done it before, okay? Then that's okay. You haven't done it before, but here we can go ahead and start a precedence right now. All right. There's a first time for everything. Okay. So you tell me no. I'm not going to take that. I'm going to go ahead and fight for it. So fight with your voice. So the
Yes.
three things that I would say that my audience should avoid is to fight alone, to fight in fear, and thirdly, fight without a voice.
There you go. That's the whole class. You go ahead, sis. All right, let's go to Pele. Same question, love.
Ooh, yes. Well, I know for me, the two main things that I know my audience need to avoid, like Lade said, she had the double D while I had the double Y. avoid being that yes person, and everything I share, is my experience. I was there. I used to be that yes person. And so avoid being that yes person. And like Dr. Carla Maria said, no is a full sentence. I said no is a complete sentence, and you don't owe anyone no explanation. When you know your heart is clear, your mind is clear, and believe it or not, we all should know that God sees everything. That's why I'm at the point of my life with my journey. When I say no, I'm not saying no because I don't like you, it's because I love myself enough to say no, that hey, it is not, it's not working for me. And that the next avoid for me is avoid, neglecting self. I've learned throughout my journey to love on you. I tell you, I love me some Pele. And I just encourage each and every one of you to just love on you. And I believe,
That's right.
that's all
Wow.
about, what that's a part of that. Yes. When you say no,
Yes.
that's part of you loving yourself, to say no, this is not, for me. And I still love you, but my answer is still going to be no, and be okay with it.
That's right.
You don't have to explain yourself, because when you do explain yourself, that's when, it's like you're guilty, that guilty conscience kicks in, like, oh, wow,
Mhm.
like, I did say no. But like
And
I
people
said,
will
when your
test you.
mind is clear, when your heart is clear, you'll be all right. So those are the two main things I believe, my audience, truly, and I pray that they will be, avoid neglecting self and avoid being the yes person.
I love that because it goes back to just recently when, as entrepreneurs, as CEOs of our companies, sometimes people would do things either against us, sometimes unknowingly, that we feel like we have to clap back, but really we have to come to God in a pure heart. And He's judging what we do, not what judging so much of what others do to us. Like we're not going to go see Him in the pearly gates and say, "Well, I did this because this person." You're like, "No, how did you? Why did you do that?" I'm judging what you're doing. So we should always. I love that you mentioned that, Pele and Charlissa, is like walk in a pure heart, walk away. Sometimes, when you are going, backlashing and saying, I'm going to say something back, there's also repercussions to that we have to worry about what that person's going to say and what your comeback's going to be. It goes back to what Jen said about forgiveness and things like that we're really genuinely doing it for ourselves. And I think that's so important. So thank you so much for Pele, for sharing that. So let's hop on over to, wait, there was Erica. Now let's go to the next question. Let's go. Y'all are just blowing up the comments. Thank you so much. So my last question for the panel, ladies, and then we're going to jump into like some firepower questions, is starting with Leslie. How do you help your audience overcome obstacles? We have been talking about telling our audience what to avoid, what mistakes are they making, but how do you help your audience overcome their obstacles?
Well, the good question. The first thing and main thing that I do when it comes to making sure or helping them overcome obstacles is I'm going to be honest with them. I'm going to
Yes.
come to the table and I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to understand what their wants and their needs are. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you based on my knowledge what I is best for you. Because
Right.
if you're coming to the table and this is your first time purchasing a home, or you've never dealt with the financing and the other things, and what attorneys, what team to get together with and work with, then you need me to come to the table and be completely honest with you. You need me to
Mm-hmm.
tell you what may not be the best idea for you, because you don't know. When I bought my house,
Right.
there was a lot of things I did not know, and I wish somebody would have took the time and been honest with me, and I may have made some different decisions. So I keep that in mind when I work with some. I'm going to bring that to you. I'm going to give you that honesty that somebody
Mm-hmm.
did not give to me. So that is the
Mm.
first thing that I'm going to do, is I'm going to listen to you, and I'm going to give you honest answers to your questions and to your obstacles. The second thing I'm going to do is, I've talked a couple of times already about you working with your lender and you having attorneys. I consider that to be your team. I am
Right.
going to work directly hand in hand with your team. You trusted these people. You've entrusted them to be your representatives for whatever services they're providing. So I am going
Mm-hmm.
to work with them. We're going to work together to make sure that we're all on the same page and we understand what you want and what ultimately you're working towards. And then I'm going to make sure that we're all going in the same direction and we're going to get there together.
Right.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
key to me because ultimately the bottom line is you want a home. I want to make sure you're making the right decisions and we get you in that house because I believe that home ownership does not end at the closing table. And when you get those
Right.
keys, it's a lot that goes on after people don't talk about. But a
Yep.
client need to know and I make sure they know it. So those are three things I make sure I work with my clients on to get past those obstacles and those different hurdles that they could potentially come toward.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Same question, Dr. Severin.
I'll start by saying money is a complex topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jen alluded to that earlier. How we manage our money is more about our emotions and our experiences that we've had. We can have
Right.
two children in the same home, learn the same things, and one is a spender and one is a saver. So it's really how you internalize those experiences.
Mm.
And so for my clients, how I can help them overcome obstacles is getting them to understand who they are, what their money story is. I use a
Yes.
tool called Money Habitudes, and it's a neutral system. It doesn't tell you you're bad or good with money. It just gives you some pointers. It gives you some, it helps identify how you
Yes.
look at money. Because once you understand that I'm a person who loves security, I love
Uh-huh.
to hold on to money because it gives me security. Maybe my experience was that I didn't have enough to eat when I was growing up, whatever
Uh-huh.
your experience was. So maybe I love security. So now my job is to help you work with that label, so to speak, and
Uh-huh.
understand how you can have balance in your life. Because yes,
Right.
you love to hoard money, you love to keep all the money because you love the security, but you also need to understand how you can enjoy your money. And so that's my job, to help you understand that. So it's not bad that you are a saver or you like to hold on to money. It's not bad that you are a spendthrift, that you like to spend.
Uh-huh.
Understanding that underlying reason for it, and then how can we bring you back to balance so you can enjoy
Right.
your life, enjoy the things that you like,
Yeah.
but also how do you prepare for the future? Because listen, the doctor can't heal you if you don't tell them all the symptoms. If you don't tell the doctor everything that's going on, they cannot provide the right medication or the right
Right.
diagnosis, or they will provide a diagnosis, but it's not the right one because they don't have all the
Mm.
information. So the way I help my clients overcome their obstacles is to let them understand that they have to share everything. You have
Yes.
to trust me enough to share everything so we can look at the big picture and work it out together, because ultimately it's your life. You live
Mm-hmm.
that life, and I'm not going to create a budget for you. I'm not going to create a roadmap for you. You have to live with it. So we're going to look at your numbers and we're going to decide how best to serve. I'm going to ask you questions to open your mind to different options, but you have to make that choice because you live with it. You live with your budget every day. So that's how I help my clients understand that money is just a tool, and understand where you got your money story from, how you got your money
Oh.
story, and then how you can take that money story or that feeling you have about money and bring balance to your life.
Oh, I love that. I can see that what you mentioned about one person's a spender, one's a saver. That sometimes happen in relationships as well. So definitely those of you who are looking for a spouse, like I don't want to be sick anymore. Look at, if he's what type of person they are financially. But I love you mentioned that, Dr. Severin. Now going over to you, Tracy. Go ahead, sis. Same question.
So writing can be very isolating. And I
Oh,
loved what everyone said on the panel because we all touched on it. You're not in this journey alone. So for people that will come to me to help them in this publishing journey, I'm going to let them know that they're not alone. I'm going to be brutally honest, because you don't want to get out there later and find out, well, this is a flaw. How come you didn't tell me before? But at the same time, I'm going to do it with love. And the thing about it is there's a lot of moving parts to publishing, whether you go the traditional route or not. So I'm going to sit down with you and based on what your goals are, because everyone has different goals. And to go the traditional published route might be good for one person versus going the self-publishing route might be good for another person. So we're going to sit down to see exactly what your purpose for writing this book is. What do you want to do? And come up with the best course of action and go step by step by step on what you need to do next.
Sorry about that. I'm always trying to unmute and talking. Okay. I was like, why is LaDavia just staring at me like that? I told her to go. Go ahead, LaDavia. Same question. Great points, Tracy.
All right. So for my audience, what I do is I provide them with tools and coping strategies to be able to make sure they make their mental health a priority. And one of the ways I do that for them is just by showing up every single day.
Yes.
Showing up every single day, providing them with tools. And sometimes it's just that little reminder that says, hey, are you getting in your water today? Are you getting in that daily water intake that you so need to get things flowing and going? Because we know that just like water, right? It's so good for us. And we can drink it and it does what it needs to do as far as cleansing. We have to do the same thing and cleanse ourselves of some things. And so being able to just provide those daily tools is one of the ways I just assist them in just overcoming those daily challenges and struggles. And whenever times get tough, and as we are closing out the month of April for National Stress Awareness Month, just being able to identify some of those signs and symptoms of stress in advance and being able to, like I said, take that toolbox, dig in it, and utilize those tools so that we don't have to wait until we feel as though we're about to explode or something is about to happen before we actually start using those things. And just being able to provide a safe space. You know, a lot of times we don't want to talk about the things that's going on with us. It could be something that's culturally, because, you know, in our families, right, we were supposed to be the strong ones. We're not supposed to talk about these things. We're not supposed to show that we have some things going on, and we just supposed to keep taking. And that's what I call stuffing. We keep stuffing everything inside of us. But being able to provide a safe space where it's safe, where it's non-judgmental, where it's private, because a lot of times we share things and it could be sometimes with professionals, right? Next thing you know, our business is out in those streets. And so for a lot of folks, right, they have just really not been able to express themselves and ask for help because of past hurts. And so being able to, again, provide those safe spaces and being a guide and showing up daily for those to help them overcome those obstacles, get their toolbox together so where they can have those coping strategies to be able to maneuver this thing called life. Because like I always say, you may have been born in this world by yourself, unless you're a twin or triplet, but you were not designed to go through things by yourself. Community is so vital. It is so important. And it's even better whenever we've been through some things and we can share to help somebody else along the way.
Very true. Thank you, LaDavia, for that. Go ahead, Dr. Carla.
Well, one of the ways I help my audience overcome obstacles is, first of all, I'm a very transparent person.
Yes, you are.
And people like that because that allows them the opportunity now to be able to be transparent as well. So I think when you're in the coaching industry or you're in ministry or you're in the helping industry, people have to be able to relate to you. So I make myself relatable by just being me. When people meet me in person, like, you the same way on social media. Well, duh, yeah. I'm transparent because what you see on social media is what you get in person. I was just at a conference and they're like, oh my gracious, you're just like this in person, because I show up as myself. What I'm doing ministry, what I'm doing coaching, what I'm doing corporate training, you get Dr. Carla, no matter
That's
what.
right.
I think it's important that when you're helping people overcome obstacles, be transparent. I share my journey. I shared that I was divorced after 30 years of marriage. And so people, they can relate to that. So that's one way I help them, by just being me. Another way is that I'm hands-on. If someone says, well, I want to learn how to, become more, to build my faith or to pray or whatever it may be, then, I'm the one that I'll say, okay, well, let's do it together. And so I'm a hands-on person. And then I like giving people the necessary tools. I call tools power moves, because I will give you the tools you need, whether that be coaching, whether that be my transformational workbook, whether that be my cards or whatever it is, master classes, retreats, whatever. I give you the tools so that you can live a successful life. Because when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, when someone walks away from our services, can they sustain what they learn? And I'm not about you just coming to me to get a 3 month, like, ooh. No, when you're done with me, if I call you a month from now, are you still sustaining your progress?
Yes.
And I said to a client that I worked with her 3 months ago. I picked up the phone the other day. I called her. I said, how are you doing with that work-life balance? She says, oh, Dr. Carla, I'm home right now. I say, yes. She was always working and she didn't have time for her kid. And her kid told her, you love your job more than you love me. So I picked up the phone out of the blue. I called her and I said, hey, I want to check in with you. How you doing? She said, oh, I'm home. And I say, well, be honest with me. How long have you been staying late? So I will follow up with my clientele, even when they're not on my paid list still, because I know you are sustaining. Because when it's, like I said, at the end of the day, you need to sustain this walk. Not just when you're with a coach, but when it's all said and done, are you going to live this life? Because see, I live this. I don't just talk about faith. I don't talk about being victorious. I don't talk about being unbreakable, unshakable. I don't talk about being victorious. I live this walk. I haven't been in corporate since 2019, but I ain't tripping. But you got to be one that when it's all said and done, I have to give you the necessary tools so you can apply this to your life. Because if you can't apply it, it does you no good. And one thing I do, I work with people, we got to be compatible. Because that's how we help you overcome your obstacles. If you're in the land of resistance, then you can't work with me. Because I smile, I have joy, but baby, talking about accountability. Because see, you're investing your time, I'm investing my time. And one thing I cannot get back and you cannot get back is time.
That's right.
So when we work together, it's got to be productive, baby.
That's right.
Because you're investing time, you're investing money. So when it's all said and done, we got to get the results, because I want you to walk away. I want you to walk away being able to stand on your own. But if you happen to fall, I'm still here. Give me a call. We get back with services again.
I love that. And I just want to say, part of one of your power moves, I think Angie mentioned that in her comments earlier, is when you're being yourself, you're in your power position. I started out working in corporate, going live 2 to 3 times a day, sometimes more, from my van. It was parked outside of my driveway with a flat tire right now because I don't want to sell it. It's just a little bit about Goldie. And I started there being myself. I didn't have the backdrops and the good ring light or anything like that. So for all of you who are watching, whenever you're out there promoting, launching, be yourself right where you're at, because there's going to be thousands, if not millions, of people are going to love you right where you're at right now, because God always meets us where we're at, right? He don't just meet the 7-figure heir, the 8-figure heir once they make it. He meets you right when you only got negative $99 in your account because you don't spend up too much. So just be you. Show up as you always. And that's going to allow millions of people fall madly in love with what you do, the message you provide, and how you present it as yourself. You're the best friend out there just by being yourself. I just felt like somebody needed to hear that. All right, let's hop on over to Jen. Go ahead, love. Same question.
Yeah, so when somebody comes to me with help, it's usually like they're at a point where they're frustrated,
Yeah.
they're confused, they feel stupid because they are starting so late and everything is just, it's always like everything's a mess. I need to do something about it now.
Right.
and
Right.
now they're having this epiphany, like I need to take action. And so for me, when it's about helping them overcome these obstacles, it's about meeting that person where they're at. And although it is typically about money and getting that organized, I'm steering them back to the emotional relationship that they have with the money. How are they looking at it? But I also look at it from this approach of that it's actually very holistic, and it's actually almost really more of self-mastery. It is about money, but we're going to look at so much more, because everything that we do has such an effect on money, right? It affects like how much you can buy. It affects your stress levels. It affects, all these different things, your buying decisions, what you can do, what you can't do. And so I even look at it as we're almost like designing your life. I'm taking a look at, okay, do you want to buy this purse? Do you want to go on that vacation? What are those things that you are not allowing yourself to enjoy? What are these luxuries? Because I don't follow what some of these financial gurus out there that telling you to freeze your credit card in the freezer and eat out of cans, and and just deprive yourself. That is such a scarcity mindset. And I truly believe that there is a way to live abundantly within your means, but not be from the perspective of deprivation. Because what are you manifesting? You are constantly living in the scarcity mindset that like, oh, I have to live like this because, and it's almost like you're punishing yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, my approach is that it's of love and encouragement, and it's of, we can look at this differently. And so it's really changing the relationship with the money. It's changing your relationship with yourself and what you look at, what you are worthy of and what you are deserving of. And how do you increase that self-love and that self-worth in order to increase your net worth? And so from that perspective too, we will eventually tie the two together, because we do have to look at the logistics. It's so important. And so, I have a team that will help look at that stuff. So, other things that people come to me for is asking like, well, yeah, should I sell this house, or what happens if I do this? Because how many times do we have these life decisions or these decisions we want to do or not sure what we should do, but you don't know how to plot it. You don't know how this is going to look. You don't know the outcome. But my team has the capability to look at its different scenarios so that we can do our best. Of course, we can't predict the future, but at least we can get as close to it as possible and see like, yeah, if this happens, this is the outcome. But if you decide to go this way, it's kind of like, if you all remember Choose Your Own Adventure, those books, you can go this way, this is what happens. If you go this way, this is the result. Which one sounds like the best, and guiding you, because a lot of times we are making decisions in a vacuum without the proper knowledge, without the tools, and we're just kind of guessing, and then we wonder why we got into the current mess that we're in. So it's really learning how to align the emotions, the logistics, the patterns, and how do you create this amazing ultimate lifestyle that you are so proud of, that you are living your true and best life and feel good about it. Because there's too much information out there about finances and money that is so guilt heavy. And it doesn't need to be that way, because that is not living a life in thriving. So yeah.
Oh, that was so good. All right, Shalissa, how about you, love? Same question.
Yes, that's for me how I helped my audience to overcome the obstacles that they may face. One, going back to what Dr. Carla has stated earlier about transparency. And my statement is that I believe that my transparency would serve as the catalyst for someone's healing. So, as transparent as I am, as I walk, through the journey, and they actually see me walk through the journey. And just recently, I had the reoccurrence of the diagnosis, and literally for 9 months, audience, I was there, social media, the followers, they see me literally walk through the journey. And each time I was stating at the beginning of 2023 to say that I am the healed. And I do believe in that. Affirmations is so powerful because we know that life and death lies within the power of the tongue. So it states what you believe, what you're speaking over your life. So that's another way that I look at trying to help the audience find out, what are you speaking over your life? That I shall live and not die to declare the works of the Lord. I know that I am healed, for the word of God says that I am.
That's right.
And so you have to believe what the word of God says. What are you speaking over your life? So that's one means of me looking at it. Another is like, I will try to help the clients to find the joys of life. We may be going through the battle. There are going to be some good days. There's going to be some bad days. How the song says, but I won't complain. Okay. Because it can be a whole lot worse. All right. Here I'm thinking that the diagnosis that I have, and I'm trying to, a little upset because I'm getting a little nauseated from the chemotherapy, where someone else, the next person, lost their job and then lost their insurance. So therefore they don't have any income to come in to pay for them to continue with treatment. And now they're just out there with a GoFundMe account. Okay. So I'm grateful for the position that I'm in, because someone else is probably worse off. So find the joys of life. Every day that you wake up, that's joy. Okay. When you're able to get up out of your bed, rather you have to crawl out, or you were able to stand up and walk out, or you able to stand up and have to use a cane or a walker, you still have the joy of living. All right. Because someone else didn't have that joy this morning. All right. We're here still yet among the land of the living. As a matter of fact, this afternoon, I just came back for, actually my cousin's funeral. All right. But I'm grateful I'm still here. So I praise God for that. But find the joys in living. All right.
Yes.
Okay, that's the operative word, living. When
Living.
you're going through with a diagnosis, you still have to live. God says in his word that he comes to give us life, and life what more abundantly. All right.
Yes.
Abundantly, that's a lot. I don't know about you, but that means a whole lot to me. Abundantly doesn't mean that I'm sitting here stressed out. Okay. I think another panelist, one of the sisters, she stated about, April serving as Stress Awareness Month. I'm not going to be stressed out. Okay. And you're not going to stress me. Not today. All right. Not today. All right. So then the thing is, you got to find the joys in life. You have to celebrate life, celebrate the moment, be grateful for the moment. All right.
Yes.
So many times we go through life and we just zoom through. We have these schedules, these meetings, and we always going, but we don't take the time to take it in. Have you ever been driving to work or away to home, and then you go the same route, and then sometimes you take another route and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. You pass by it so constantly, like, okay, I didn't even realize that. That happened to me today because I took another look. Okay. So we have to look at life differently from a different perspective. So with my audience, to help them overcome these obstacles, it's a matter of being transparent. It's a matter of them helping them to find the joys of life, and also to celebrate the moments, because that's what we have, are the moments. Okay.
Yes.
And to speak life over your life. Okay.
Yes. I
Thank
love
you.
that. You got to have joy. Joy is you have happiness and fulfillment and gratitude, no matter if you're going through a storm or through a sunshine. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's also hop on over to Pele. Pele, same question, love. How are you helping your audience overcome their obstacles?
Yes, I love this question. And I just want to say I am free to be authentically me, whom God created me to be. And so I love telling my story, and sharing God's glory of how far he has brought me through in life. And, being that authentic, and like Dr. Carla and Charlisa, transparency is very important. And that's what I am with my journey, transparent and authentic. And you will know the good, the bad, the ugly, the everything, and so there's nothing to hide, and that's how I'm helping them. And I share the steps that I've used to get to where I am today, you know, and that's why when I wrote this book, that's why I said I love telling my story to share God's glory, because God has brought me through so much in life. And I help them by letting them know that, hey, I encourage you to always say and do everything with all of your heart and with all of your love without expectations. The only expectation you need to be expecting is God's blessings over your life, because, you know, so many of us, you know, expect people to do the same, you know, that we do for them, but we have to understand and to believe that nobody can do the same thing for you, you know, because we all were created, you know, in our own unique ways and stuff like that.
Very
And
true.
so that's why I love sharing my story with that. And I always want them to know that they matter. And just last weekend, me and my oldest daughter, we did our matching tattoo, You Matter. And so I just want each and all of you, and to our amazing audience, I want you to know that you matter. And I encourage you to know,
I
to
love
live
that.
and love your life. If someone can write that down in the comment, to live and love, you know, live and love, live the life you love and love the life you live. And so that's how I've been able to help. And since my book was released August of last year, I've had 2 phone calls of women reaching out to me and saying, thank you for saving my life. They had suicidal thoughts, and they came across my page. And I give God all the honor, praise, and glory, because I know for me, I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for God's love, mercy, and grace. And I wanted to share that, you know, when you are authentically you and love on you. This was me 5 years ago. Can y'all see? Yes. But look at me now. God
Yeah.
transformed the life of a sister. That's
that.
because I was giving them a choice. I said, God has blessed us with this word called choice, you know, and we had that choice to be bitter or to be better. So I chose to be better with all that life was handing me, because my God is able, our God is able, and I am grateful for all that He has brought me through. I'm grateful for all the challenges, the trials and tribulations, because it molded me to who I am today. And that's how I've been able to help my audience, you know, sharing the testimony, sharing my story. And I encourage everyone to tell your story, because someone out there is waiting to hear your story so they can heal. So don't be stingy with your story now. Tell your story and share God's glory. Thank you.
Ooh, tell your story and share God's glory. I love that. I love that. So thank you all for really answering these questions. I know we had to dig deep and really think hard. And now we're going to get into our next section, where I have like a powerhouse spitfire question to ask each and every one of you ladies. But before we jump into that segment, I want you all, those of you who are watching right now, to let me know, what was your biggest takeaway so far? What has been your biggest takeaway so far? And trust and believe there's going to be more coming up. Okay, so please share in the chat what has been your biggest takeaway but so far. So I'm going to go ahead and bring back on my girl Leslie. Hey, Leslie.
Hello,
Yes.
hello.
Thank you for joining, love. So my question
Thank
for
you.
you, here's my question for you. I want to pull it up so that everyone sees it on the screen, honey. Let me pull it up. So, what are some of the first things you advise your audience to do when deciding on pursuing home ownership?
Well, anytime anybody comes to me to say, hey, I think I want to purchase a home and I want you to help me, I make sure, first of all, I mentioned earlier having that interview process. So I make sure I schedule that interview process with that person, because I want to make sure we're a good fit, make sure we're a good match.
Yes.
And so we do get together, and I talk with them and find out what they're wanting and what their needs are, and just make sure we're on the same page and I'm the best fit for them to get them into the home that they want to get into. But after that, and we've decided that I'm going to be the agent and I'm going to work with them, my next step is always to get them to a lender, because I think
Yes.
that's the first place you have to start. You have to
Mm-hmm.
first of all find out if they don't have a lender. It's my job to make sure I have
Yeah.
some available options for them so that they can choose through, do their interview process and find a lender
Right.
that would work for their situation. And then once they have that lender, it's imperative that they work with this lender to determine, first of all, is homeownership right for them?
Right.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
first
And
question.
if it's right for them right now. Yeah.
Yes, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
second part. Is it
Mm-hmm.
right for them right now? There
Mm-hmm.
may be things they need to do in order to be prepared to go into home ownership, and they're just not ready right now. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why that lender is so important, and that teamwork is so important. And I make it my mission to work with the team to make sure we're all working towards the same goal. Because,
Right.
again, I like to remind people when I meet them and they're going into this process, you think you want to own a home and that's perfect. You decide you're going to get a home and that's perfect. But it's not just about getting to the closing table. That lender needs to work with you to make sure you're financially set up where you can not
Right.
only get a home, but you're able to sustain that home. And I stole that word from Dr. Carla, I think you sustain, and it was
Yes.
perfect because we can get into the house, but can we keep it? That's
Yeah.
important. And that's my mission and
And
my
can we
job.
pass it on too?
Yes, it needs to be something that can go to my kids and my children's children. So I want to make sure from day one that we understand what their missions are, what their determination is. Is this going to be a 5-year house, or is this the house you're going to raise your family in?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know for a
Or
fact
you're going to
you
use
get
that as
in.
an investment property later on down the
Right,
line. Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Because you never know what your circumstances are. And it starts with the agent and the lender to help
Right.
you figure out where you need to be. And because I know for a fact from life that you get in that house and a year later you got a brand new bundle of joy that you didn't
Right.
plan to have last year. So is
Yeah.
this house still perfect for your family that you're in?
Absolutely.
These unexpected things happen. Are you financially in a place where you can handle those things? So it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
that goes into just not getting in the house, but staying in the house and staying in it comfortably. Just
Right.
because you can
Right.
afford a $300,000 house and you're approved for it, do you really need a $300,000
Right,
house?
right. Is it in the right neighborhood? Is the neighborhood?
Right.
That's one thing now here in New York is like, is the neighborhood developing? You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
because that if that actually increases the value of the house later
Yes.
on down the line. So,
So
yeah, are
many
they handling
things.
the roads? How's the sanitation? How's the
Yes.
school system? There's so, and I
Everything.
find that when more people, especially those of you who are watching this, when more of you guys work with somebody, like Leslie, it actually smooths the process much better and you won't give up as easy. You know what I mean? I see so many people who get started with the process and then they give up later on for the lack of knowledge. It's not, sometimes these lenders will tell you any old thing. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? You could probably be working with the incorrect lender. So thank you
Exactly.
so much for sharing that, Leslie.
You're welcome. And one last thing I just want to point
Sure,
out
go
is
ahead.
that that's why I make it also my mission to make sure I'm here for you not only after you close, but I'm still here. I don't get
Yes.
any more commission after the deal is done, but I'm still here for you, and I'm going
Yes,
to
to
be
the
there
after
with you.
process.
Yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
someone, Dr. Severin mentioned in the comments, just because you're approved for a specific amount doesn't mean you should buy the house for that amount. Why is that?
Well, because the more house you buy, the more you have to pay for. So your mortgage
Oh,
payment is going to be based on how much house you buy. You want,
right.
yeah, okay, they approved you for a $300,000 house, and your debt to income ratio and everything is fine for you to get that $300,000 house. But once you get into the house, are you cash poor? So if the roof start to leak in the next couple of years, or something happen, or like I said, that surprise baby come, is there enough money
Surprise,
available?
baby.
You know, whoopsie,
Yeah, you think. I don't think they're all surprised. Like, go ahead.
these life is still happening whether you're in the house or you're
Yeah, you
in
never
the
know.
apartment. Life is still happening. So you
Yes,
have to
yes.
make sure, because I mean, had you known, and we don't know the future, so but you got to kind of be prepared. And it goes back to some one of the other ladies said, having that little savings nest egg, that savings
Right,
on the
right.
side, so that when those things happen, you got that money to depend on. Well, if you would have gotten the $250,000 house versus the $300,000 house, that's a little less of a mortgage payment, and you could put that extra money to the side.
I
Just some
agree.
tips.
I agree. And another great point that came up was for Dr. Author. She mentioned, yes, great points on the team approach
Oh
and
yeah,
the importance of being the right fit. It's almost like
yes.
buying shoes. It has to be the right
Got to
fit,
be, because
right?
you're in them.
Has
You're
to be
in
the
the
right
and
fit.
listen, you can take those shoes and you can get a new pair, but you in the house for 30 years, 50,
You gotta
how
wait
many
30,
ever
40 years
years.
before you get a pair.
This big. This is huge.
Girl, thank you so much, Leslie.
You're
We're going to bring you
welcome.
back
Thank
on
you.
in just a little bit. So, the next person that I'm going to bring, oh, that was so good. That was so good. So, the next awesome young lady I'm going to bring on is Dr. Severin, honey, picking back off of Leslie and what have you. So, let me pull up my question that I have for you, Dr. Severin. You ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So my question for you is, why are you passionate about personal finance and helping others? Because I think you were on a show of mine in the past where I mentioned like you could have been doing anything. Like it's anything you could have done in life. What made you choose personal finance is something that people dread talking about, that people dread addressing, sort of like what LaDavia mentioned, the DD, we distract and avoid and all that stuff. But share how, personal finances has been something of your passion.
Well, I've always had an affinity for money. I've always been
Yes.
able, people always, when I was growing up, they always thought I had more money than I actually did because of the way I carried myself around money. And I've
Uh-huh.
always been a saver. And for
Mhm.
20 years, I was the stewardship director at my church, and I taught
Mhm.
personal finance. I just kind of fell into it because I'm an accountant by trade. So I've always loved numbers. And
Yes.
so I taught personal finance. I did, you know, workshops. I did newsletters, and
Mhm.
then I went through a divorce at 53, and
Wow.
that caused me to become much more intentional because now he wouldn't sign the statements or the papers so that I could sell the house. So
Mhm.
I decided to walk away from the house. My credit dropped. All these things happened, and I'm like, God, why? I'm a
Right, right.
faithful tither. I never missed my tithe. Why would you allow me
Wow.
to walk away from a house I've been paying for 13 years? Why would this happen? And then it just was revealed to me, and then other people talked to me about that my experience was to help other people. So
Mhm.
in going through that divorce at 53, I now became much more intentional because I've been teaching the concepts, I've been doing all of that, but it made me become much more intentional about how I handle my money. I was able to rebuild my credit back into the 800. I was able to rebuild my finances. I just bought a house last year. So, all these things, I was able to use the concepts and the principles that I had been teaching to be able to
Mhm.
recover. And not only that, I worked with a coach. I worked with
Yes.
a coach, but even though I knew the stuff, a coach gives you a bird's eye view. A
Right.
coach is not emotionally invested in your numbers. You are emotionally invested. So
Mhm.
you're like, no, I need this car. I want to get this car. I need this car. This is the
Yeah.
best car for me. But a coach can give you options and say, well, you want this car, but if you get this car, what are the other things that you possibly won't have? So I
Mhm.
got a coach. And so it's not only that, I went back to get my certification as an accredited financial counselor.
Right.
I I get paid well in my 9 to 5. I mean, well, okay?
Mhm.
I'm talking six figures well. So I
Yes.
could stay there and be comfortable. But I know that this is my mission, and my passion and my purpose is to
Right.
help women with their finances, especially older women, to give them hope, to let them
Mhm.
understand that it's never too late to start
Mhm.
over. It's never
Mhm.
too late to become who you were meant to be. Because
Right.
again, I started over at 53 years old. I got my doctorate at 56 years old. I
Right.
rebuilt all of these things. So it's never
Right.
too late. I started my YouTube channel at 57 years old. It's
Yes.
never too late. Now I'm 61
So
years old and I'm still going steady. So,
I
and
love
getting ready to
it.
walk away from my 9 to 5 this year. So it is
Yes.
possible to rebuild. So, ladies, have hope and know that God's got you. And
Yes.
no matter what you're going through right now, it is not the end. It is
Nope.
only the beginning for the next jump off point of your life because
That's
it's happened
right.
to
We
me
create
and it
our
can
own
happen
new
for you.
beginnings. every chapter of our life. Oh, I know you pumped these ladies up today, love. Thank you, Dr. Severin. Thank you so much for that, sis. Awesome, awesome. I am loving this today, y'all. I'm loving it. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna bring up my girl, Miss Tracy, real quick. Let me pull up her question before she hops on here. All right, let's add. Hey, Tracy, how are you? How you doing, love? So Tracy's a New Yorker like me. We love for the New York, honey. Yes, we represent, honey. So my question for you is, how do I write and publish a book? Girl, I got this workbook on my computer, honey, in my Google Drive, and it's just sitting there, and I'm just adding to it, and it needs to get published. So how do we, get down and dirty with writing and publishing our book? Go ahead, sis.
So writing the book is the easy part. You keep your journal, you outline, you take notes on your phone, you set aside time to write, even if it's only 15 minutes. That's the easy part. I think when people ask me that question, most people want to know, well, how do I publish it? What did I do? And it really depends on what your goals are. Again, it depends on what your goals are, because
Right.
there's 3 types of publishing. The first one is the traditional route, where you have the manuscript, you find an agent. So when you look for a literary agent, you have to send them a proposal, or if it's a fiction book, a synopsis with a query letter. And then they vet you more so. You send out letters and your manuscript, and you wait and you hope that they contact you back. So once you find a literary agent, they're going to take you to their own their own editing process to get the book ready to send to a publishing company to find a deal. So that's one thing. The good thing about that, having the traditional route or traditional publishing, is that you don't have to spend any money up front. All the money comes on the back end when you get the deal, and they give you an upfront advance. They give you an advance, and you get royalties on that book. And there's a bit of notoriety involved with having a publishing deal, like with a company like Random House or something like that. The con of that is that you lose a bit of control, or you lose. Some companies are better, so you can lose a lot of control or a little bit of control over your product. So if you are passionate about what you do, and it's like, look, I really don't want anybody changing this to what they feel that the audience would like, then the traditional route is not for you. And the thing that people don't realize also is that traditional publishers still require you to market your book. It was back in the day, I'm not sure how many years ago, the traditional publisher would do most of the marketing. Now they still do, but they expect you to do marketing. So they're not going to always go out and book events and things like that for you. You're going to have to do it as well too. The next type of publishing is self-publishing. And that's what a lot of people are doing now, especially with COVID and everything like that. You're responsible for everything, but you remain in control. So that's the good part. You're responsible for writing, well, of course, writing a book, but you're responsible for finding an editor. You're responsible for the formatting. You're responsible for the illustrator. If it's a children's book, or even if it has some kind of illustration in it, you're responsible for getting it uploaded into those different platforms for retail. So that's what self-publishing is. So the con is you're responsible for everything. You're responsible for everything. That means everything falls on you, and it can get very expensive. And the third one is a combination of the two, the combination between traditional routes and the self-publishing route. So I would say, before publishing your book, know what your goals are before writing the book. Some people want to go the traditional route. They don't want to put up the upfront money, and that's fine. Some people are like, nah, I want to keep control over it, and that's fine too. But you can't go in there blind. You have to have a plan. You cannot, and this is a mistake that I even made this mistake when I first started out about 9, 10 years ago. You can't expect your family or friends to buy your book because
Right.
they may not be your target audience.
Mm-mm.
They may not be your target audience at all. So don't expect your family and friends to purchase your book and to help you. Not saying that they won't, but don't expect them to. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure you know who your target audience is and the reason
Right.
why you're writing this book. Now, there are a lot of groups out there on Facebook and things like that. There's critique books. I belong to a professional organization called the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying is make sure you invest in yourself as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
join some of those groups, join the professional organizations, network. If you need a book coach, get a book coach. If you need a
Right.
marketing coach, get a marketing coach because
Mm-hmm.
the little bit of money that you're going to spend to get you where you are is going to pay off tenfold.
I always say, I tell clients all the time, if y'all in the process of launching your book, get some pre-sales in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people feel like, oh, I gotta have the physical book. No, get the
No, you don't.
pre-sales in so you can start recouping that money
Right.
that you originally invested in the book. You know what I
Right.
mean?
People want
So
to follow your
yeah.
journey.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see you from the beginning of how you started and where you end up. And that's how you start building your audience and building fans for life.
That's right. That's right. And you said facts, your family, your family are most likely not your target
That's
audience.
right.
That is so true. So true. Yes. Angie also said you need both a writing coach and a marketing coach. See, I'm more on the marketing side. I ain't gonna help you. Maybe that's your expertise there. I'm like, okay, let's get some money in that. You
Mhm.
spent 5,000, 10,000 on getting this book done. Let's start recouping this money. Get the digital copy sold, get the pre-sales in,
That's
all that stuff, right? So thank you so much, Tracy. You put in a lot of perspective because I hear a lot of times from people talking about, well, you could just self-publish. That's it. You can just self, but there's so much work involved that
There's a lot of work.
you have to do on your own if you self-publish. Not that it's wrong, and if you're willing to do the work, do it. I
Right.
see a lot of people who are authors who do self-publishing are good. The ones that really get a lot of results are the ones who already have an audience already.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
you already have, hundreds of thousands of people following you. You have a large email list, right? So when you put that book out there, you already got people going to buy it,
Right.
Uh, Dr. Audrey said, Tracy, thanks for these three important
Mm.
pointers regarding book publishing.
You're
Yes, yes,
welcome.
yes, yes. All right, love. Thank you for coming on. Okay, I'm going to bring on my next lovely lady. I forgot who I was going to bring her. Hold on, let me get the order in. Yes, LaDavia. Like, oh man, she called me. Oh, Tracy, I'm Tracy. I'm playing with her. All right, Miss LaDavia, how are you ready for your question?
Wonderful. Yes, I am.
All right, your question is: as a mental health professional, why should you recommend? Was it Reiki? Reiki? I always say it
Reiki.
wrong. Reiki to clients. Now, my experience with that was when I was in, I don't know if it was Bali, Indonesia, my second time being there, or at an event I was doing in Orlando, and a young lady did that to me. Okay, and when she did that to me, I think she told me that I was pregnant or there's something going on. And I was like, girl, it was weird, but maybe that was my experience. But you explain what that is, okay?
Right. So Reiki is basically energy medicine. So it's healing.
Yes.
And healing in a sense using energy medicine. And as a mental health professional, there's various reasons that I may recommend Reiki to a client. So as a naturopathic, one of the things that we incorporate is really holistic methods and practices. And so sometimes I find that a lot of people will go through the rat race of having continuous cycles of symptoms. And they have not found the root cause to those symptoms. And so, what Reiki does is it allows you to really tap in to those various different areas, your mental, spiritual, emotional, and the physical, and bringing in, again, going back to the natural state of things. So, making sure you're incorporating some things and really identifying what that looks like. And so, in mental health, especially in the the clientele that I work with, a lot of times we have to develop treatment plans for those clients, and those treatment plans have strict rules as it relates to various insurance plans. And so there's only so much that we are allowed to do. And so by accessing Reiki services, you can really dive in deeper and really tap into those portals so that you can get life transformations. A lot of times I see people, they're so heavily medicated, right? It's very hard for them to utilize those tools and those coping strategies because they're dealing with side effects. They're dealing with hair loss, they're dealing with nausea and all sorts of different things. So that those things are distractions to them. And so by the time they've sometimes found maybe a certain type of medication or maybe a coping strategy, uh, at that point, maybe it stops working. Right. And so now they're looking for something else, or they're like, you know what? I'm just really wanting to get off of all these medications. I really just want to be able to heal naturally, whether it is mental illness, whether it is from a illness, a disease, or something like that. And so we really, like I said, hone in on the fact that we take that energy medicine, we identify what it is, and we really see what it looks like. What does it look like to meditate?
Right.
What does it look like to be able to transform the diet and incorporate more plant-based things? What does it look like to ground in nature? And
Right.
so we really are able to see those things in action, learn what they are, and implement them as a part of our process so that we can transform our self-care in a more enlightening way and open up those portals that we may not have ever tapped into, or maybe at
Right.
some point we did. Maybe we did tap into that spiritual side and we've gotten away from it because life has happened. And we need something to draw us back in to really put some things into perspective about our life, to really
Right.
start to identify once again who we are, because maybe we have lost ourselves.
That's
We
right.
want to identify who we are, where we're going, who do we serve, right? And so that's the reason why, as a mental health professional, I always want to give my clients alternatives. Sometimes my alternative personally may not be the one for them, just like I may not be the mental health professional for them. But it's
Right.
important to get to the root cause of what's going on, what is really going on. And what we don't want to do is band-aid things. And that's what I find a lot of times I see in my profession. And by tapping into something like Reiki, it could really be transforming to your longevity, your goals, so that you do not have to repeat the cycles of life as the seasons change. You don't have to worry about, okay, this time of year, I know that I'm going to be depressed again. We want to be able to put some things in place so that we can say this time of year is going to be better than it was last year. And I have some tools, I have some skills to be able to take me through so that I can be happy, joyful, and live a life of peace and tranquility.
I love that. I love that. So now that we're in this time of year, where do you say for somebody who is not doesn't want to do it's not or is not ready to do cold turkey, like transition the whole Reiki lifestyle, where do you feel that they should get started?
So, what I feel they should do, they just need to identify first what the problem is. That's the first step, identifying the problem and find one thing, starting with just one thing they could do to be able to provide a solution for that problem. So, for example, if it's someone that says, I suffer with anxiety, very, very bad. So, every day I have issues, right? Focusing because I'm just so anxious. I can't keep myself on track with things. And
Right.
so, for that person, we may have to put something together where in their toolbox, they always have with them a little notebook. Okay.
Right.
And in that little notebook, they may just have some positive affirmations that says, stay calm, take a deep breath, walk outside, allow that fresh air to touch gently against your face and feel it through your hair and really focus on the experience and the senses. And so
Right.
that's really the main thing, is to identify that one thing, because when we try to take on everything, then it
Right.
does become overwhelming.
Right. Right. I like that. Just because that's a great place to try one thing that you want to solve, right? It could be back pain, it could be like you said, depression, anxiety, anything that you feel that is not getting you through the day. Thank you so much, LaDavia.
Thank you.
Thank you, love. All right, so we're gonna hop on over to the next Lovely guest. Are y'all enjoying this so far? I know I am. I know I am. Y'all let me know in the chat if y'all are enjoying this. What has been your biggest takeaway so far? So now I'm gonna bring up Miss Dr. Carla. She ready. She ready. Hi, Dr. Carla.
Hi,
Yes. How are you? Ready for your question, love?
I am ready for my question.
All right. So I got a long one for you, okay? So one of the many things you are known for is your inspiration and faith. I know that firsthand for the first time talking to you, speaking to you, all the things, right? But what has been one of the greatest challenges of your faith other than getting a divorce after 30 years of marriage?
Woo.
Mm,
Okay, so getting divorced after 30 years of marriage, that definitely was a challenge. It definitely was. Other than that, I think the biggest challenge for me is, and I'm going to grab my book right quick because I'm going to have to show you this. So let me find it. And here. Okay, here it is. So other than divorce, my biggest challenge of my faith was this right here. And what that was is my baby sister, Katasha, went home to be with the Lord. And I had prayed that she would stay here. I would pray that she have many more years. And the first time she went through cancer, she went into remission. So the last time it happened, I was sure that she was going to come out again. And when she went home to be with the Lord, I questioned the Lord about that. Not in a bad way, but I just asked, why? And I'm sharing this tonight because one of the things I said tonight about myself is that I'm very transparent, and that's why people follow me. It's because I'm transparent with my journey and with me going through divorce after 30 years of marriage. I was married at 23, divorced at 53. And so now I'm going to share this because sometimes in our Christian faith, when things don't go the way that we plan, then we want to get mad at God or blame God or lose the faith. I didn't lose my faith. Did it hurt? Yes, because as I said, I wanted more years with her. Her twin wanted more years with her. My mom wanted more years for her. But that was not God's plan. But instead of me wavering with my faith became stronger because I trust the great I am. I trust that his timing is always perfect. And while it did hurt, God carried me through that process. And I believe that that's why I was able to handle going through divorce after 30 years of marriage. I got married at 23, divorced at 53. But because I had gone through that with my sister, because I had gone through that with my grandmother, because I had gone through that with my grandfather, because I had those previous things that made me have to be strong, I was able to go through divorce. So my greatest challenge of my faith, other than divorce, was loved ones who went home before me. Because had I had my way, they would still be here. So I just want to speak to somebody tonight because you may have lost a loved one and you may feel that they left too soon and that you wanted more time with them. And you may even be angry with God. And I just want to say, don't be angry with God. There's an appointed time for every man to live and an appointed time for people to leave this world.
amen.
And we may think sometimes because they're younger than us, but she had a full life.
Mm-hmm.
And in my book, I even talk about 7 lessons I learned from her.
Mm,
Because even though she was younger, she taught her big sister a lot of lessons.
yes.
So that was the challenge. But again, my faith is stronger and I love me some Jesus. I ain't letting go of him and he's not letting go of me.
Oh, Not at all. You are such
He
an
won't leave me
inspiration.
and he won't forsake me. So yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Angie mentioned my condolences. It is certainly okay to ask God why. Sometimes we feel bad about that. Why? God, why? You know?
No,
There's always a lesson that can reveal if you are willing to be open to receive it. Yes, yes.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And I tell you, a lot of people want to waver, but you have to be steadfast and unmovable,
Mm-hmm.
always abounding in the Lord. Because if you allow situations in life to knock you down,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna miss your purpose.
Yes. Yes,
And
you are.
again, I share this story because I used to didn't share my story about being divorced after 30 years because that came with shame. I used to
Yes.
didn't share and I never shared the story about my sister, how that affected me. But I share because of this, because I have come to realize that our voice matters.
Yep.
And not only does our voice matters, but when we share our story is the solution or the answer to someone's breakthrough.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And so someone may be struggling in a certain area, and when they see that you made it, they go, wait a minute now. If you took care of Dr. Carla, you can take care of
Yep.
me. Because he's no
Mm-hmm.
respecter of person.
If
But
you did
you
it
have
for
to
one,
believe.
he'll do it for many.
You just have to believe and have
That's
the
how he
faith.
works.
And he said, in this world, we're going to have trials and tribulations. He said, but be of good cheer. I overcome the world. And so what the Lord has done with me through the death of my sister, my grandmother, my grandfather, and going through the divorce after 30 years of marriage, he has given me more joy and more peace. So
Yes.
who wouldn't serve a God like that?
That's right. And he'll give you joy and peace even when you have people who are still living that he removes out of your life.
Yes.
But like you said, the divorce, through family, siblings, just saying, hey, I can't handle this toxicity, then remove myself out of the situation. He will take care of all you and them. Right. You
Yeah,
and them.
I tell you, and that's one reason why, people go, why did I focus on, Christian strategy coaching?
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell people, I have no solutions other than what the word says.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to use the word and prayer and discernment to help you address your situations.
That's
And I have
right.
to use wisdom, and that wisdom comes from God. So every
That's right.
tool I use in my toolbox comes from God, comes from
Yes.
the Holy Spirit. People go, you so smart, you so wise. Thank you. But you know what that all comes from? The Holy Spirit.
Yes. I know and feel that many ladies who are in this audience want to get to that finish line where you're currently at right now, but they don't know how. They don't really quite see themselves in the seat that you're in right now, with where you have full understanding and full awareness of when it comes to the loss of divorce and the loss of death, that you can still stand here and still be happy and smiling, looking as beautiful and just in your queendom right now. What are some of the products or services that you currently have right now that they should start with first that's going to help them reach where you're
Well,
at right
one of the things that you can start with first to help you with that journey is something I designed just for queens.
now?
And it's called 8 Power Moves to Protect the Queen, Ruling Your World and Creating the Life You Desire. I wrote this book to tell people the 8 power moves that I use to get through mistreatment in corporate, to deal with death, and to deal with going through divorce. And so it comes in the bundle. DM me for this. In the bundle, there's the book, there is the transformational workbook, because you got work to do, because you got to look at yourself and you got to address some things. And also there's a journal as well that comes in the bundle as well. And then also there's cards. And what I love about these cards is that these cards sometimes may ask you probing questions, or it may be something inspirational. Like there's one here that says, is there anyone you need to forgive? If so, do it now. And then there's scripture to go with that. And this one right here says, your priorities matter. Are your priorities in order? This one says, stop complaining, stop murmuring, stop worrying. Read Philippians 2:14. So this is one thing they can do to get started with me. And also I do group coaching and individual coaching. So I'm available for that. I believe that the power is in our hands. And I hear people go, I heard one of my clients said to me recently, well, I'm not you. I say, wait a minute, hold on. That's just an excuse. That's like the person that is talking about, I got this baby fat. How old's the baby? 15? Girl, that's not baby
I
fat.
do say that
That's not
also.
baby fat. That is not baby fat. No, that's not baby fat. So we have to be responsible enough to take, I know that's what I say it too. It's not baby fat. We have to be responsible enough to look at ourselves and determine that we're going to do better. And I always say it starts in one major place that people sometimes don't want to address.
Right.
It's mindset.
It is.
You have to renew the mind. You have to see yourself differently. You have to think differently. You have to now take on the mind of Christ. And people, he's like, they're looking for a quick fix, a microwave answer. No, what you see, this version of me that you see that loves God with all her heart and that has surrendered to God, that came from me spending time in the word, time in prayer, time in worship, and renewing my mind, seeing myself the way that he sees me, seeing myself fearfully and wonderfully made by him, getting on my face and worshiping before him and letting him know that God, your way, your will, your time, I'm not going to move without you, God. If you're not involved in it, I don't want to be involved in it. This comes from learning how to forgive people that hurt me and to fight. And God said, the first time I had to pray for my enemy, I'm like, God, that's a hard one to swallow. But I tell you what,
I don't know about that one, Lord. No.
I'm gonna tell you that. So here's the thing about that: when you're forgiving someone, it's not for them; it's for you. Because when you forgive, then your heavenly Father forgives you, and when you forgive, God just releases blessings on you.
That's right.
Spiritual blessings and physical blessings. So I learned to forgive because I'm selfish. I'm like, I want blessings.
Yes, right. You want them all. That's right.
I want peace. I want everything that God has for me. So I learned how to forgive because I just say, you know what? I want so much of Jesus that I ain't got time to be holding.
And you don't want to allow what other people done to you to hold your blessings back.
And because what we have to realize too is that a lot of times we're trying to hold on to unforgiveness. And you know what? That just holds you captive. So you around here holding on to unforgiveness and unforgiveness is holding on to you. And you're captive, you're bound. And why be bound when you can be free?
That's right.
So I choose freedom.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Carla. That was so good. Thank you. And if any of you got any value out of that or anything any of the other ladies said, please let me know in the chat right now. All right, Ms. Dr. Clark, we're going to bring you up back in a little bit so that people can find out how they can get their hands on that bundle. We'll be right back with you, love. All right. Who's next? I think Miss Jen is next. I'm going to pull her up in 1 minute because I want to grab her question and actually pull her question up. Hey, Jen.
Hey.
How are you doing, sis? How are you?
I'm great.
All right, let me go ahead and grab your connection. Oh my God. All right, here we go. I think this is it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most important thing for someone to start with as they begin this journey and process? First, explain what that journey is to give everybody a little bit of a dialogue and then go into how they begin the journey. Go ahead.
Yes. So, as a person that's been in financial services for over 18 years, and as I mentioned, I used to be a financial advisor, there's a lot of things that I have seen over the span of years, the financial crashes, then we had COVID. And so there was always that epiphany where somebody finally gets to this moment of like, oh my gosh, I need to fix my situation, or people start to realize like I can't keep doing it like the way I've been going. And so that's part of the journey where you get to a space where you realize I need to do better, because most people are kind of just haphazarding it, right? We're just kind of like, well, I kind of learned this and I had this job, and these are things that I've heard, it's like I had this job and this 401k plan was there, I never moved it, and my dad set me up with this insurance policy when I was in college. I mean, the point I'm making is that it's so freaking random. There's no intentionality behind the design of the entire overall plan. It's potpourri. It's just here, and here. So no wonder it can feel like massive confusion. No wonder it could feel like, what is going on? Because you don't know what's going on. And so to go back to the question, what do you think is the most important thing for someone to start with? It's literally just basically getting organized. I will say at the very, very basic level is getting organized. A lot of conversation when I'm talking to somebody and they want to start fixing the situation and they might want to pat themselves on the back, like, yeah, I have some investments, I have some savings, I think I have an insurance policy, but I'm not sure. I think I opened it a few years. I don't know if that's still open. I cancel that? And so if you can just listen to the energy, the voice and the conversation when I'm having this with people is that there is no certainty.
Yeah. There's none.
And
You're right.
and it's like I'll tell you, back in the day when I first became an insurance agent, I remember I went to visit a client and she literally was looking through the kitchen drawer. And it just showed me how unorganized we are with our finances.
Yeah.
And most people don't even know where they stand. Like, a lot of people don't know where their credit score is, or a lot of people don't even know what is the dollar amount to the penny of what your total debt is, or what your total savings is. Like, what is that? There's no knowledge. And so at the basic core, it's just basically getting organized and gathering all the information, because you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to start somewhere. So at least do that, so that you can't fix things. We had the analogy earlier about you can't make a diagnosis if you don't tell the doctor everything.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with your finances. Whether you want to omit information that needs to be included in this entire plan, or you don't know what's somewhere, it's just not going to come together, And I'm going to say this is like totally taking a detour, but I have met with some women, and it's interesting that a lot of other panelists have also been through a divorce. I went through one in 2009 and I lost everything, and that's a whole nother story, and having to rebuild my life. But there were some women in the past where I would meet with them and they didn't know anything about their financial situation in their entire household. It was all the husband's responsibility. She knew nothing. And so it got to the point where they're going through a potential divorce, or it was going through a divorce, and now she's panicking. I don't know what's going on. I didn't take care of the finances. And it's like, oh my gosh, you think you're in a really good situation now to be able to ask these questions?
Right.
I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad. I used to run workshops. So, I see it better today, but I want to encourage women and men. I've seen situations where it's the other way around. The wife takes care of everything.
Where the woman is controlling everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to know what's going on. You just, and here's the thing. I'm not saying some of you are going to get a divorce, but I will guarantee you we are all going to die. So if there's a situation,
or your partner can be hospitalized for something, God forbid.
Yes,
where
exactly.
It can be a long-term thing where he can't work or just do what him or her is normally used to doing, and you have to know these things. Yeah.
Absolutely. It could be a multitude of different reasons for why one of you or both of you could be completely incapacitated or die, sick, unable to share the information. It could be a hostile divorce, whatever the case. And if you are not privy to what's going on, you are going to find yourself in a world of hurt. It is like 10 times the mess.
Right.
And so I want to encourage you, please take accountability and educate yourself and be aware of what's going on. And, I have talked about that. I wrote a book called Do Before I Do, about how to have these conversations with your partner about getting on board. So, it just comes back down to having a strong financial foundation. We constantly plan for vacations. We plan for, like, what am I wearing to the wedding in 2 months? Like, we put so much time and effort into those details. And then it's like our financial future, which is like so important next to your health, is just kind of, I'll get to it, or like, yeah, whatever. It's I know I need to do it, but I'm so busy.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I'm definitely, for a lot of ladies on here, you make them more aware, and because anything can happen. That's one thing we don't have control over, is things that happen around us sometimes, and getting that prepared and being honest and transparent. I think a lot of those things, the reason why discussions are not had because of fear. Sometimes these conversations, especially before you say I do, can make or break the whole wedding situation, period, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and sometimes we don't know. Like, I remember when my husband and I got married, we were boyfriend and girlfriend for 5 years, but we got married after I think 5.5 years. And when we then 2 or 3 years later, we sat down with a financial person. I'm like, wait a minute, you got like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. I didn't know this, but I didn't bother to ask. When we were dating, boyfriend and girlfriend, like he was getting a new car, he was getting rims, lights under the car, lights inside the car, everything. I was like, that's his money, that's his business. But it's sort of like you gotta ask those questions to really
Oh,
see where everyone is. I love that book. Angie said, I love that. Do before I do.
yeah. And
I love that title.
here's the crazy thing with this whole idea. Like, it took you 3 years, and there's many people that get into that situation, right? And it's like you give as a boyfriend, girlfriend, or before you get married.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get into whether you sleep together or not. That's a whole other
Right.
conversation.
Just
Right,
dating.
right.
Like I never thought to ask those questions. I'm like, his money,
Yeah.
his money, mine is mine. Yeah.
We give our money, we give our bodies, we give our spirit, we give our everything, but we don't want to give the financial information, and nor do we want to ask for it. What is
Nope.
this? It is just so crazy when you think about it.
Mhm.
And then you get into a situation and now you're married and you like, wait a minute, we didn't talk about this. Or
We
you
didn't talk
find
about
out, we
this.
heard
We didn't talk
earlier
about your
of,
$10,000 limit credit card that you maxed out when you was
Right.
18. Like,
Oh, totally. There was a story I've shared with my ex-husband before we got married, and I knew his credit score because I was buying real estate. But I knew at that point, I was like, okay, he cannot even buy a cardboard house. It's all going to be on me.
right.
I knew getting involved, so he did not go on he was not a co-signer. But it's just like those were crazy moments. Like you're finding the information at the wrong time.
Wrong time.
Right, I couldn't put his income
All this
on it.
while, like, it was student loans. And come to find out, you got all this
Oh
payday
God.
loan, credit
And
card,
then
Macy's card, JC.
and then you
Best
inherit the
Buy.
debt. You're married, you inherit the debt, and then you have to think
Everything.
about
Yes.
it, like other things, how it affects. Like, what if you had your own plans? What if you were trying to set aside some money to create your business? And then you find out later on, like, wait, now I got to help pay for you. You expect me to help pay for that student loan? Like, what are the expectations? I'm not saying it's right or wrong or don't do it, but you have to have those decisions and those conversations, because now you have to think, do I have to take a part of this money that I was going to use as capital or seed money for my shop that I wanted to create? But now I got to help you with the debt. Or wait a minute, I was earmarking this 30,000 for a down payment for a house. Like, wait, I didn't know you had a 340 FICO score. Now we can't co-sign on this loan. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. It's just crazy. You need to know.
Need to know, ladies. You got to know these things. That's a great. So I think I think the first step of your process, definitely communication, honesty. That will get you to your destination where you need to go. It will get a better understanding of what problem they need to solve or what have you for the individual person, and get through the embarrassment or the shame of feeling like, oh my God, I got myself in a hole, or I'm with a partner that we're both in a hole because we're now together, we're one, and how do I get out of it? So I love that, Jen.
Thanks. Get organized, whether it's you by yourself or with your partner. Get real with yourself and honest, and know your numbers.
And this is something you can change. I think a lot of times, I think Dr. Severin mentioned this, like it's never too late. It's like this is something that we have control over. You know what I'm saying? That we can change. Certain things that happen to us is done. We can't get out of it. That's it. But something like this, you can start the process and change. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Jill, for hopping on, and thank you for answering this question. All right, love. We're going to go to the next person, who is Charlissa. Hey, girl. Hey, how you doing, girl?
All right. How are you?
How are you? I'm doing great. And my condolences, too. I know you mentioned earlier you just came back from a funeral. So my condolences, sis.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah. So my question for you is, how do you hold on during your time of waiting for your healing to manifest? It's like you know you want to be healed, but waiting for that time for it to actually come into fruition, you know, um, how did you hold on in that process?
With this question, it's just one that really pierces my heart because I actually, as I stated earlier, walk this journey through. And it was a 9 month journey. I mean, when you think about 9 months, that's 9 months of carrying, if you're thinking of childbirth, it takes 9 months before, the baby is actually um, destined to be delivered. And so I think that this time span where um, I was walking the journey and praying for healing. And although I seen it in the spiritual sense, I was waiting for it to be manifested in the natural. And when you are, have, gone through the fight and you're in the midst of the fight and you're journaling through, and when the options that are placed upon the table seems and or appears to be limited, or there are challenges to every option that comes up, and there's a challenge with that particular option, or there are risk factors that are greater than the benefits that you could receive from going that route. It's like, what do you do? Some people at that point, they become weary and well doing, and they begin to give up, give out, or give in. And I'm just not one of those individuals. I don't give out easily. I don't give in easily, and I don't give up easily. And I am what I call is a fighter. And so I stand on the phrase "fight, girl, fight." In spite of the spiraling out of options, you still continue to hold on. So what I held on to was, I said, God, I'm holding on to your promises. I'm not focused upon the problems. I'm not looking at what the doctors are recommending and then
That's
telling
right.
me what the risk factors are that, like I stated, when they're greater than the benefits. But then you still looking at, what's the best optimal level of living. It's not just a matter of trying to kill the disease, but then after the disease is being removed, then what's the quality of life? you
Mm-hmm.
know and you kind of weigh your options out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So what I held on to was the fact that 2023 was my healed year. It is
Right,
my healed year. I
right, right,
spoke it from January 1 and up until this point. So the whole time during that 9 month time period, I
right.
spoke it each and every day. I affirmed myself. It's a mindset. I had to, look at the transforming or the transformation of my thought pattern. How
Right,
was
right.
I thinking? So I was thinking upon the positive things in life. I was reflecting upon the positive things in life. Anything that was contrary to what I believed, then I couldn't have been around it. Okay.
That's right.
You can't
That's
stay
right.
within my circle. You had no longer
Right.
would be a part of my circle. And so even that included my oncologist. I mean, we have a right. I think it was another one of the sisters when she was talking about the real estate that you can actually fire an agent, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
you can also fire, your medical doctor. Okay,
Yeah, you can.
they're not
Absolutely.
on the same plan as you,
Mm-hmm.
meaning whatever the options or goals that you're looking to work towards. And if they're not on that same pathway, then you can fire them. And I
Yeah.
just recently did that 2 months ago. I mean,
Right,
it
right.
was speaking contrary to what I believe. I believe in the
Mm-hmm.
word of the Lord. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
believe in his promises. I believe that I
That alignment.
healed.
Mhm.
So if you're speaking anything contrary to that, then no, you're
Right,
not.
right. I
Okay.
understand.
And so that's what, I had to look at. That's why I stated you can't have the fear of, of not, having a muted voice. Okay.
Right.
You need to make a sound. And so I
Mm-hmm.
believe we stated earlier that the voice matters. So I spoke it. So that's what I think when it comes to the manifestation of healing, that we have to speak it. We have to firmly believe, you have to have the affirmation, something to really fuel your thoughts, to feed back to, what are you intaking back into your spirit, and it's spending those meditative times. What I call is, having my coffee communications with God each and every day. It's a set time. We can set days. I think someone was saying earlier about how we plan for our vacations, what we're going to do, our birthday,
Right.
what we're going to wear, what we're going to spend.
Right.
Right. Then we can also, have those set scheduled times that we can spend with God, because He's looking
Right.
for
You
that.
have to
That's
have
what
that.
helps to increase our faith, and increase my faith. And so I had those scheduled daily conversations with God, and then I allowed Him to download unto me.
Right.
It wasn't just crying out to Him, but once I cried out to Him, I was seated there in stillness and calmness and quietness, so that I can hear His voice. And then
That's right.
His voice, spoke to me. And so I began to journal. So that was another
Right.
of journaling, writing down my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. That's another way of trying to process those thoughts, feelings, emotions. Yeah, the negativity may come forward, the doubt may come forward, because that's part of the flesh, okay?
Yes.
And so it's like every day, we're fighting that flesh,
We are. It's like,
bring
are we
that
are we
flesh.
thinking in the flesh, or are we thinking in the spirit? It's always
Yeah,
that battle all the time.
right.
Yeah.
To bring it under subjection,
Yeah.
So that's where I had to go and to work through that process too. But I never gave up, because I
Never.
always had hope. Because I believe in that hope. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and His righteousness. So I believe in the hope. I had an anchor of hope. When you throw that anchor out, from the boat to be settled at the shoreline, that hook on that hope gets grounded, inside that soil. So what are you being grounded in? And so I'm
Yes.
grounded in God's promises. Okay. I'm being
Yes.
grounded in His word, because I know that everything else may pass away, but the word of God will always and still
Always.
remain.
Always and
Okay.
forever.
Yes, because He's not a man who shall lie, nor one who needs to repent. So we have to stand firm upon God's promises
I
in
love that.
order for that healing to manifest.
I
Yeah.
love that, because again, if you don't have that spiritual entity with all things in life, even when there's times where you're like what you mentioned with you battling cancer and things like that, even in those moments when you're at your lowest, still know that He's there. And you mentioned something about 2023. Everybody in my entrepreneur network, the groups that I'm in of CEOs and people who run a business, they've all said this, that 2023 is different, something different about this year. Those of you who are watching, share in the comments, have you felt that back in January, that this year is just different? Something really big is about to happen. And I feel this all came from because we have had so many years of being down in drought and lack and scared and nervous and not certain of how we're going to get through the pandemic and things like that, that now it's like everybody's head is coming up out of the water. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I feel like, when you at that bottom and you call on God and you just say, God, I know that you wouldn't put more on me than what I can handle. So whatever He has on us is what we're supposed to have on us. He wouldn't put on more than what we can bear. And recognizing that He's still in control even through this whole process is something that we're going to be even more blessed beyond that, when we know that he is the creator and the maker and the orchestrator of all of this. So
Yes.
to know
Yes.
that with your situation, the fact that you're still positive when there's hundreds of thousands of women that felt like this is the end and that's it, I got my diagnosis and that's it, they're calling their family and friends and GoFundMe's and all these things, and but you went through that healing and manifesting, which I think is powerful to get you to where you're at today.
Yes, it definitely has. And then, it's a matter of this whole time, I'm being stretched. Because, like I said,
Yes.
options placed on the table. It's like, okay, you're weighing the pros and the cons. But in
Right.
stretching, I
Right.
know that strengthening me. That's God is
Yes.
strengthening me. So I state, to those who are out there, in the midst of your stretching, Just keep
Mm-hmm.
on, because you're like you're greater than the rubber band.
Right, right.
Remember that God is bigger. God is
Yeah,
greater. God is
right.
stronger. Okay, so there's nothing
Yes,
that He cannot fix. Nothing.
that's right.
And you have to stand firm upon that He's stretching you to strengthen
Right.
you. And once He strengthens you, then He's going to sterilize you to ensure that
Ooh,
you are have
I like
nothing
that word,
that's going
sterilize.
to hinder you from progressing forward,
That
from
part.
pushing forward, yeah, from pressing forward. Okay.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so
I
just in the
love that.
stretch, sometimes the stretch, we don't like being stretched. It's like when you start an exercise, January 1, we talking about we're going to lose all this weight,
Uh-huh.
we're going to go with this exercise plan. And once we get out there, we do our little stretch. And it was like, oh, I felt that one. I
I
feel that,
felt that, honey.
because the muscles are not used to you stretching
Nope.
before,
They're
right?
like, what is going on?
Right. But when you continuously to do it every day, each day it gets what easier and easier.
They're
And
better.
then you
It's
find
stronger,
out you can
stronger.
stretch yourself a little bit more further than you were the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how, even with our faith, He's stretching our faith. Our faith is being stretched. So each day, during that 9-month time period, it's like you've been stretching, been stretching. I'm like, okay, God, here's 30 days. All right, 60 days. But when
Mm-hmm.
start coming up to 9 months, and then God said on 3/16, let me share this as a testimony. 3/16 of this year, March the 16th, is the day that I received from my oncologist, and stated there was no evidence of the disease. None. Now, mind you, I had not had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I had not had chemotherapy. I
Mm-hmm.
had not had immunotherapy. I had not had radiation.
Mm.
Nothing. But I kept praying. I kept manifesting. I kept
Mm.
speaking. I kept prophetically speaking it, that I am the healed, and
Mm.
2023 is my healed year. And if it
Amen.
did not come forth, God watches over His word to perform it. He sets it out to do just what it is
Yes.
to go
I
into.
love
And
that.
it sprouted out, and then I received the harvest,
And
because the
so it
seed
shall
was
be
planted.
done.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Everybody, please congratulate her, guys, because that's a huge,
Hallelujah.
amazing announcement. And glory to God
To
for
God be
that
the
and
glory.
beyond
To
all that
God be
He is
the
about
glory.
to pour onto you. I
Yeah.
love that. And I feel like I share this all the time. One of my favorite parts of the year is Holy Week. If you guys don't know what that is, it's like the week before Easter. And that's really a time for me where it's sort of like you're reading that part of the Bible where it talks about Jesus and the crucifixion. I feel like He showed us His biggest faith when He knew what was about to happen to them. So a lot of times when we are going through trials and tribulations, ups and downs, I mean, we all have a testimony to share, just like Charlissa, when we're going through that and we have reached that moment of where we have risen up from that. uh, it's the most unexplainable feeling, but it's the most best feeling that all of us as women are going to have, because we all have our own crosses to bear, and we all
Yes.
have our own destination to get to. So thank you so much for sharing your testimony. It's bringing so much love and life to everyone who is watching us here. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to bring all the ladies on. So come on out the bathroom, y'all. Can put down your I bring y'all all back on, honey, because we're gonna close this out. I want all of you to share and let everybody know how can they connect with you. Because first, let me thank each and every one of y'all for joining me for this summit. All the ladies on here are my clients, and I don't care what anybody say. I have the baddest, prettiest, awesomest clients on the internet, honey. Okay, no place else. Okay, so I want to first start with Miss Leslie. Leslie, how can everyone watching and those who are watching live in the replay, how can they contact you and get connected with you?
Okay. I do agree. You have the most beautiful, baddest women on the clients. Yes, I do agree with
Yeah.
that. But I am Leslie Gamble, realtor on all my social medias. I keep it real simple, and you can reach me there. And I do work. I am in South Carolina, but of course, you never know what life is going to lead you to. Never know who you may run into, who may be looking for an agent in South Carolina. South Carolina. Referrals are always welcome. So please look me up. Please join, like and follow my social medias. I would love to join with you all and connect with you all. And I look forward to speaking with you later.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lacey, for joining. All right, Dr. Severin, how can everyone in the audience get connected to you, ladies? Love, and your awesome services, love.
Okay, the best way to contact me is through my website, which is sevtalksmoney.com. I'm going to put it in the chat. And I am Sev Talks Money on all social media. And from my website, you can contact me through contact my YouTube. You can see my LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Twitter accounts. I do go live every Sunday afternoon to talk money. And I have guests sometimes. Like this Sunday, we're going to be talking about how do you pivot from burnout and how do you find yourself after burnout and find a business that works for you and works for your family. So we're going to be talking about that on the live. And so again, I go live every Sunday on YouTube, and I repurpose that into podcasts. You can find my Dr. Sev Talks Money podcast, Dr. Sev Talks Money YouTube. Again, sevtalksmoney.com is my website. And I'd love to connect with you guys. And maybe some of you can be guests on my podcast and YouTube to talk about your personal finance journey.
I love that. And let me tell you something. Whenever you are going to watch Dr. Severin's show, make sure you have your notepad and pen, because she drops some nuggets, y'all. Some good nuggets. So make sure y'all head on over there and check her out. So let's head on over to Tracy. Tracy, love, how can everyone in the audience connect with you and learn more about all the greatness you have going on, love? Go ahead and come off mute.
So you could connect with me through Facebook. It's Tracy Wilkins Francis Author, just like it is here. On Instagram, I'm Tracy Wilkins Francis. And I also have a Facebook group that is for parents, educators, and anybody who is passionate about education, where we share a lot of tips and empower parents. I have as a part of that group, a monthly parent empowerment live group. We've spoken about reading strategies. We've spoken about math. And Dr. Severin will be next in that parent empowerment live series. Yes. And we talk about all different types of subjects, because I believe it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes,
so I would love to have you as a member, and I'm going to drop the name of the group so you don't forget. It's Jojo Bean's Friend Z. So I'll drop the link for you.
Let me tell you, if you have children that are in elementary and you want them to better their reading, enjoy reading, get a hold of Tracy. You know, I have young children in elementary, a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and soon Tori will be in there too. And yeah, the reading levels have definitely, since the pandemic, has gone horribly down for our kids, because we were homeschooling and things like that. So it takes a village, like for real, it takes a village. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop over to Miss LaDavia for Louisiana, baby. Tell everybody how they can connect with you, love.
Yes. So you can connect with me via social media, of course, on Facebook, LaDavia S, as it is printed here on the screen. On Facebook, you can join me live weekly for Morning Tea with Community B, and that is with a K.
It's a good show, y'all. Tune in.
Yes. And on Instagram, you can follow me there at Community, again with the KB and the number 3. And I want to encourage you, when you come on social media, especially that Facebook page, that you go head on and make sure you enter in for that Mother's Day contest. Yes. So where you can have an opportunity to win a prize wellness kit valued over $100. And so just pouring back into the moms for Mother's Day, and of course just encouraging them for self-care. And so that's how you can reach me, like I said, Facebook or Instagram. I look forward to seeing you for Morning Tea with Community B.
Yes, and her show is amazing, y'all. Make sure y'all hop on over there and tune in every morning, even if you gotta catch the replay. It's awesome. Okay, Dr. Carla, go ahead, sis.
Hi, very, very simple. You can follow me on Facebook, Dr. Carla Maria, Instagram, Dr. Cara Maria. LinkedIn, Dr. Cara Maria. Website, drcarmaria.com.
All the way.
Dr. Carla Maria. I look forward to connecting with you all. And I just want to say to our gracious hosts, Letitia, you are amazing. And this was amazing. And this was just so much fun to share tonight. So thank you for the opportunity to be on this platform with you.
Thank you. I thank you all. And let your light shine always. Never let it dim. Never let it go down. Let it shine. Let it shine, because this year is all in your hands. It's going to be as amazing as you want it to be. All right. So let's hop on over to Jen. Go ahead, Jen.
Hello, you can connect with me just like Dr. Carla. Super simple. It's right there. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook at Jen Money Coach right there, or jenmoneycoach.com.
Love it. Connect, connect, connect. Next up is Charlissa. Come through, mama.
Okay, you can reach me very simple as well at Crushing Chemo Chick on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok as Crushing Chemo Chick, on LinkedIn as Charlissa Harriet, and then on Clubhouse, you can come to the house is called A Warrior's Conversation, and we meet on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. And I thank you so much for, for this platform. This was an amazing session here. The summit was, and I'm so grateful. I've learned so much from other sister panelists on here, and I just want to state again, just thank you so kindly.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Last but not least, LA, come off mute, love. Let everybody know how they can connect with you.
Yes, so you can connect with me on Facebook, Fapi Pele Hunkin, and Pele Inspire on Facebook, as well as I am the founder of Pele Inspire, Embracing Authentic Love, Pele Inspire on Instagram and TikTok. And so, yes, I am here because of Dr. Carla Maria, and she couldn't make me cry. But anyway, I just want to publicly tell you, sis, thank you for being a true blessing to my life. And you have connected me with Letitia and all these great women. And thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you so much, Letitia. I am grateful to you in this platform, and for me to have, more sisters, in my life. And I am grateful to each and every one of you, and to all my amazing supporters, all my families who supported me, and all my friends, and all the people that are pouring into me. I just want to say thank you to all of you. I love each and every one of you. And don't forget to live and love. Live the life you love and love the life you live. I love y'all.
I love you. Oh my God, you're going to make me start crying. Oh my God. It brings me back to, my father passed away back in 2001. And I remember he used to always tell us that when we tell God what we want to do, he laughs at us, because he's honestly in full and total control. And if you believe that, type of me in the chat, because it is true. I mean, years ago, I started these summits, and I've done it to really get motivation. I hear a lot this from you guys who say, oh my God, Letitia, you made me step outside of my comfort zone. You added me on these panel discussions and things like that. I know that it's always been more of a breakthrough for me than it has ever been for anybody who's part of here, because doing this and running a business and bringing women together and working with clients and dealing with challenges and things like that, everything is all in God's plan. And I just want to say I love each and every one of you so much, and I believe in your businesses passionately, and I will always support you no matter what. Those of you who are watching, link up with these ladies, because they are doing some impactful and some amazing stuff. And I wish we could be on here all night just sharing some nuggets with each and every one of you. But thank you all, because I know it's not easy to be even here on screen. It's a lot of nervousness and probably different challenges that came up as you guys came on here. But I do passionately thank each and every one of you. And I thank all of y'all who hopped on today and watching this live, and those of you who are watching this on the replay. I think you all. So we're gonna close out the show because I'm an ugly cry. I don't want to start getting all into all the things. But as I always say, this has always been my tagline for years. As always, don't forget, get out there and dominate because it's time to design a life that you, in fact, deserve. Till next time, bye guys.